Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Commander Clash podcast, where we talk all things Commander. And this week, we have a free spell playoff bracket. We have 32 of your favorite free spells going into a head-to-head single elimination bracket, and we're going to come out with one victorious free spell. So joining me today is Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive. How are you doing?
I'm doing super good. Excited for this. This is something they haven't tried before, and I want to see. What comes out on top. Maybe we get some upsets along the way. So should be very interesting.
Tomer, Budget Commander, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm just a little bit annoyed that the other 20 free spells that I suggested didn't make the cut. We only have
weren't
16.
all free spells.
No, we
you
have
to spend
32.
mana on them. They're
32.
not free spells.
32. We only have 32.
We only have 32. Krim, the Asian Avenger, how are you doing?
Really good. Sort of. My eye itches, but that's about it.
Your eye is foretelling the future. You know, do your parents ever tell you that when your eye's twitching, it like is revealing the future? And
Oh,
the
I
future.
hope so then. Okay, yes, that's what it's doing. It's showing me a very, very distant future.
Tell us which free spell is the best free spell from your twitching eye.
No, you can't. We have to slow roll that.
Okay, so we have a bracket, a playoff bracket, 32 cards, okay? There's roughly like 40, 45 free spells. Unfortunately, some of them sandbagged the regular season and like didn't quite make it. For example, we have Daze. Daze just got beat out by other counter spells on this list. Patrician Scorn, sorry Tomer, one of your favorite cards, didn't quite make the cut.
I didn't even suggest it.
Slaughter Pact, he forgot to pay 3 during their upkeep and just botched the final game of the season.
Hey.
There'll be a deck list in the show notes where we have all the cards, including some of the cards that didn't make the cut, but we wanted to narrow it down to 32 for the postseason. And we got a pretty good mix here. So before we get into that, today's show is brought to you by Card Conduit, the easiest way to sell your Magic cards. Card Conduit lets you skip all the typing, time, and work associated with buy listing. Their curated service lets you send in as many cards as you want with buy list value $1 more, and you'll pay just a 5% service fee. You can use a sorted service where you list and sort your cards and pay only 2%. You get a detailed report and fast payment once your order is processed. You can get another 10% off by heading over to cardconduit.com/MTGGoldfish. So thank you, Card Conduit, for supporting today's show. And we're just going to jump straight into the round of 32 with Fury versus Summoner's Pact. Now, Fury is a 5-mana spell. It's a 3/3 double striking creature. When it ETBs, it deals 4 damage, divided any way you want amongst creatures and planeswalkers. And of course, the free mode is you evoke it by exiling a red card from your hand. And Summoner's Pact is a 0-mana spell. Search your library for a green creature card, reveal it, put it in your hand, shuffle your library. At the beginning of your next upkeep, pay 2 green. If you don't, you lose the game. So red versus green. Seth.
Oh,
Who wins?
easy Summoner's Pact. The 4 damage is just not enough in Commander. If it was Modern, it'd be different, but in Commander, tutors win out for sure.
Tomer?
I'm actually going to go with Fury. I think the 4 damage is actually nice. It's a blink target. It holds swords really well. And Summoner's Pact, I think, is more just like a combo card, right? Like you never want to pay 4 mana on your next turn for this. This is like you get your creature that you need to combo off and win the game with, which is like, okay, it's fun, it's CDH, but I'm never going to put it in a casual deck. So Fury.
I
need a button to press.
I agree with Tomer. I think Fury's the play here.
Y'all are playing too much
yeah.
Modern. Who was the
Y'all
last
be
time you
tripping.
seen a Fury in Commander? Like, what do
When
you...
was the last time
when
you
is
saw
that
Summoner's Pact in Commander other than CDH? Would you run this in your green decks?
Yeah, would you not just Summoner's Pact for, like, I don't know, a Reclamation Sage or something, and like just kill something and then pay 4 like as your way to get
No.
out, or like a Crater
No.
Hole?
At least
Wow,
I'd
Summoner's
rather run
Pact
like a
does
green
I'm
Sun
actually
Zenith
shocked.
or
We're
something.
starting off with the two.
Yeah, I
Fury's
thought
just
this
coming
was
in.
an
I'd
easy
rather
one.
run like a Green Sun Zenith, a Court of Calling,
Yeah, but there's
Finale
like
of Devastation.
But there's so many
Yeah.
removal spells I'd run over Fury. I never play Fury. I just
But it's a
literally
good
maybe if
blink
I'm
target. It's an
elemental.
This is just
Elemental.
straight, like you're not even scamming. Like, are we like
No,
reanimating?
it's an
'Cause remember when you
elemental, it works
evoke,
well.
it dies, right? So for it to be a free spell, it dies, right? So
Yeah, but then you could blink it with like Cloud Shift and stuff. Like, it
Okay, so
actually
we are
has
kind of
potential.
scamming. Yeah. Okay.
we are scamming with the white scam.
Yeah, but also like if you just hard cast it, it's like a good elemental. It has double strike. It's fine. It's good.
Yeah,
Better than Summoner's Pact.
I'm not
Okay.
even talking about cheating it out, which is funny because it is on the free spells list. I'm just here because I want it as a body.
It's so good. We're willing to pay the mana. Well, we're at an impasse. It's 2-2, but worry not. We have a special guest to help us tie break situations like this.
Is it a die roll?
Hi, everyone. I'm ChatGPT, your resident
Oh my
commander
God.
expert. I'll be weighing in with my expert opinion.
All right, thank you, ChatGPT. Can you help us break the tie? And ChatGPT has a hard time hearing me, so I have to actually type this out.
Better not be like make Summoner's Pact win.
No. ChatGPT.
Explain why Summoner's Pact is better than Fury
Weird
and
prompt are you
Commander.
typing in?
Okay,
Enter.
ChatGPT, give us the answer. Break this tie.
Choosing between Fury and Summoner's Pact depends on the context of your deck and your strategy. However, if I were to recommend one card based on overall versatility and broader applicability, Summoner's Pact tends to be the stronger choice.
There you have it. ChatGPT is a green player. ChatGPT
Yes, okay.
is a green player.
Okay, that is some wise AI.
Wait, you just...
Fine.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Moving on.
ChatGPT is the breaker. We can't challenge our AI overlords, Trim.
Okay, all right, sure, I guess.
All right. So one for the green card. Next up, speaking of modern, we have two modern cards here: Subtlety and Endurance, part of the same cycle. So Subtlety, blue card, 4 mana, 3/3 flash flying. When an ETB choose up to one target creature or spell or planeswalker spell, its owner puts it on the top or bottom of the library. Evoke, exile a blue card from your hand. And then Endurance is a 3 mana, 3/4 flash green creature with reach. When an ETB's target player puts all the cards from the graveyard onto the bottom of the library in a random order, evoke, exile a green card from your hand. So Out for Blood, Modern Horizons 2 cycle, 3 of 5 cards in the first two rounds, first two matchups. Seth, Subtlety or Endurance?
This one's so hard because neither one of them excite me. This is like two pretty medium cards in Commander. I think I'm going to go with Subtlety. I think, I don't know. It flies, at least, which is something, and it does kind of answer any creature, even temporarily. So, super close. I'm going to go Subtlety, though.
Okay. I'm going to go with Subtlety too, just because it's in the blink color. So blinking it is actually kind of nice.
So any
And
creature
it's-
is going.
I think
going Toma's
I think
way.
its effect is just better than Endurance most of the time. Although I like Endurance, the fact that it's a green creature actually synergizes really well. You want to have the effect on a creature
Summoner's
in green.
Pact. Mm-hmm. Yes, you can Summoner's
No,
Pact.
but that's not a creature. is
Chain
it?
together
That's not a
two free
creature. Is
spells.
it? I'm going to go with Subtlety.
I'm going to 100% also go with Subtlety, right? I mean, I do really think that Endurance is, like, passable only because it's, again, Graveyard Hate, I think, is probably more important. They're both pretty narrow, right? Because, like Subtlety has to catch the card on the stack. There's always kind of a graveyard. So, I don't know. Like, I had to think about that for a little bit. I guess Subtlety. Yeah, Subtlety.
Okay, so my vote doesn't matter because y'all just three owed Subtlety to the
Your
Endurance
opinion
to the
always
Shadow
matters,
Realm here.
Richard.
I'm actually voting for Endurance
Ooh.
because it's Graveyard Hate. We all need Graveyard Hate to be responsible gamers, right? And in green,
Yeah.
you don't actually have that much Graveyard Hate, but also it's a 3 mana 3/4 flash reach blocker. It's like rate
Block
is
Subtlety.
almost acceptable, and you can like chump big flyers or whatever with it. So I actually feel Endurance is stronger. I've never seen a Subtlety in Commander. I haven't seen an Endurance
Endurance he's
either, but
played,
it's
yeah,
more
I've seen
feasible.
Endurance
to
either.
me.
Endurance he's played in CDH, that's for sure. Because like you
Okay.
need to stop Underworld Breach at instant speed, so
But
And it doesn't get got
one,
by like force negations. Yeah, it is relevant there.
But you
so
can pitch
subtlety
with the force
knocks out endurance. Boom. All right. Round 3, deflecting swat versus shining shoal. Shining shoal. So deflecting slot, 3
Yeah.
mana, instant red card. If you control a commander, you may cast a spell without paying its mana cost. Choose new targets for target spell or ability. And then shining shoal, X white white, instant arcane, if that's relevant. You may remove a white
Relevant.
card with converted mana cost X from your hand from the game rather than paying Shining Shoal's mana cost. The next X damage that a source of your choice would deal to you or a creature you control this turn is dealt to target creature or player instead. Seth.
This is one of the easiest matchups of the first round. Like, no even question here. Deflecting Swat, legit staples. Shining Shoal is kind of funny, but it's just not really a playable card in almost any deck. So easy Deflecting Swat here.
All right,
Tomer?
Dark Horse.
I may have heard that deflecting swat may be
Okay.
one of your favorite cards of all time. Are you going to throw us a wild card here?
Shining Shoal. It's arcane though. It can't be. Now, of course it's deflecting swat. Of course it's deflecting swat. You take this deflecting swat.
This isn't even a question. Yeah, deflecting swat.
All right,
It's free.
it's free.
It's not an arcane spell, or else it would be perfect. But
So I
Nobody's
think it is an easy deflecting swap, but I think Shining Shoal has potential. I think it's underplayed. I think you can actually play it to some good effect in EDH, but I mean, deflecting swat also blows people out of the water and is like way more applicable. But I want to try Shining Shoal Index. I
you
think
have to also pitch like a big spell.
Yeah,
to
that's-
it.
that's
if
the
you're if you're
restriction.
pitching like
if you pitch like a
3
4-mana spell, let's just redirect a little bit of damage, which may be enough to save your creature or like save your face and like pick off someone. And who expects like direct damage out of like white, right? I think
I like the
gotcha. Drop in
gotcha.
your hand.
The
A
a
gotcha
little game
aspect is
changer
sweet.
there.
The Gotcha's
Yeah.
great. Like it's a cool card. But
Okay, well, that was our first sweep of the
Easy.
series.
Yeah,
easy one.
Shining Shoal did not make it. Okay, next
Actually, this is about to be another sweep.
Force of Will versus Obscuring Haze. Force of Will, 5 mana, instant, counter target spell. You may pay 1 life and exile a blue card from your hand rather than paying this spell's mana cost. Versus Obscuring Haze, 3 mana, green, instant. If you control a commander, you may cast a spell for free. Prevent all damage that will be dealt to creatures. I can't even see this art. Dealt to creatures your opponents control. No, wait. Prevent all damage that would be dealt by creatures your opponents control this turn. So one-sided fog. Obscuring Haze. Seth,
easiest
you're a
sweep.
fog
Oh,
lover.
Seth,
Are we-
come on,
are we
Seth,
enough to
I
upset
know.
Force of
So
Will
this,
here?
okay,
So,
okay,
come
listen. So Force of Will is like the third best free blue counter spell, 4th maybe. You got Fierce Guardianship, you got Force of Negation. There's a whole bunch of them. Yeah, with Jwari Disruption, the best blue counter spell. There's so many other options. Obscuring Haze is far and away the best free fog. So I think it's actually Obscuring Haze here. I think that Obscuring Haze pulls the upset, and I'm voting Obscuring Haze.
I don't even think it's the best free fog. This is the easiest Force of Will. Like Force of Will, like I'm not gonna put it in a lot of like. You have to be basically mono blue or heavy blue, which is a big downside. And it is a 2-for-1 on yourself. You have to exile a card. But like in 2023, everybody's drawing cards like madmen. And if you are heavy blue, then Force of Will is just broken. It's a
Obscuring
busted
Haze
card.
can go in any deck, though. Any deck.
Yeah,
You
but I
just
don't
gotta have
want
your
to put it in
commander.
any deck.
You gotta
It
have
doesn't
your
matter if you
commander
could
out.
put it in any deck if I don't want to put it in any deck.
Force of Will makes like any blue deck better, right? Obscuring Haze makes any deck it's in worse. So I'm just going Force of Will.
Force Will.
It's just that easy.
Richard.
So I set up this bracket. So yesterday I set it up so it's randomly seeded. So I knew what the matchups were, and I spent all night doing mental gymnastics trying to figure out a way to have Obscuring Haze win over Force.
Oh my god.
And I
You're
couldn't
rigging
get where Seth
ChatGPT,
got
and now
to.
you're rigging
I couldn't get
Obscuring
there.
Haze.
Like Obscuring Haze is
Rigged.
obscenely underplayed, but it's not better than Force of Will. Like Force of Will is not the best free counter in my opinion, and it doesn't go in all blue decks because you need to pitch a blue card, so it doesn't go in like 5 or 4 color decks. I even had an Azorius deck where I couldn't play Force of Will because it was mainly white. However, having said all that, it's still better than Obscuring Haze. Like I don't think it's the best fog. Like I think there are a lot better fogs. And I think fogs are severely underrated, but I cannot in good conscience put it over
I
Force
tried.
of Will.
I tried.
I cannot do it. I can't. I am so sad. I have killed my child here. Obscuring
That's
Haze.
fair.
Well, Seth kept it from being a sweep, so we're not in Shining Shoal still. We're not in Shining
Oh,
Shoal
thank goodness.
status. He's like that one guy that doesn't vote for Tom Brady. Like Tom Brady gets
Yeah,
like
no.
50
No,
MVP votes, and then like that one guy's like, no, I think it's the backup QB.
Yeah, he like said hi to him once, and Brady just like brushed him off and didn't respond. So now he votes against him every year. One of those things.
Okay. We got a saucy one. This one might be tight. Solitude versus Pact of Negation. So Solitude,
Ooh.
5 mana, 3/2, flash, lifelink, white, elemental incarnation. When it ETBs, exile up to one other target creature. That creature's controller gains life equal to its power. Evoke, exile a white spell or white card from your hand. And then Pact of Negation, 0 mana, instant counter target spell. At the beginning of your next upkeep, pay 3 blue. If you don't, you lose the game.
Someone's not even close. I actually
really?
don't think there's any
Yeah.
debate
What do you
here.
choose, Seth?
Solitude. Well, one of these works with Panharmonicon. One of them makes you die on your upkeep if you cast it. I think I'm going to go with the one that works with Panharmonicon. I will say Pact of Negation in CDH combo decks is good. But if you're playing a casual game, I think it's actively a pretty underpowered counter
I thought
spell.
you did like Swords to Plowshares.
It's
You
li-
get 2
it's
for 1
literally-
yourself.
this
to
is literally-
Swords to Plowshares.
This is literally Fury versus Summer's Pact, and he used the exact opposite logic. He used my
Solitude-
logic for this. He used
Solitude
my logic
kills-
for this.
Solitude. You didn't mention
You're not
Panharmonicon
running Summer's
first.
Pact
You did
outside
not
of
mention-
CDH. You know it. And Fury does work with Panharmonicon. What's going on? What's
you
going
did
on,
mention
Sam?
Panharmonicon, Tomer. Really, though, the difference is
Nonsense.
Solitude exiles any one creature. I don't think 4 damage is enough. I think 4 damage doesn't kill what you want. So that's the difference for me why I put Solitude ahead of Fury.
Oh my god! But it's double strike. It's a better freaking body. But whatever. I'm picking Solitude. If it was CDH, I'd pick Pact of Negation.
Okay.
Oh my goodness, though. Oh my god.
I mean-
I'm still salty about Fury.
Yeah,
My boy
it's-
got disrespected.
It's not even close. It's Solitude. How many games of Pact of Negation? Like a 5 mana counterspell on your next turn is so brutal. How many times have you seen someone blow up a land or something, or blow up what you need to pay for the mana? Right?
Well,
I
it's
don't wanna
literally,
put
it's literally
myself-
you win the game. If you win the game this turn, then
it's great.
you want to pack
Sure.
the negation, right? That's the only reason.
But like, there's a reason why Pact is usually omitted from all my deck lists because it's like it's too big, great of a cost. I don't know. I like Solitude way more.
I feel like I'm in the wrong podcast. I've disagreed with you guys so hard on
Yeah,
all of these.
Richard's
I
on
go
his own.
Pact
No,
of
that
Negation.
sounds like the podcast. That sounds like how it is.
Like, so Solitude is a Swords to Plowshares. I don't like Swords to Plowshares, let alone 2 for 1ing myself
God,
to
yeah,
Swords
that's
to
fair.
Plowshares.
But where's this
Pact of
his
Negation,
sword?
I think, is actually one of the best, like probably the best free counter spell because there's no playing around it, right? Like Force of Will, you need to have a blue card to pitch, right?
Sure.
The Fierce Guardianship, you need your commander out. And the way you play around stuff like that is you start removing the commander, and that like turns your actual Swords to Plowshares into basically a free counterspell or a counterspell that they have to answer to keep their Fierce Guardianship up. Pact of Negation is like 0 mana. You can't play around it. Yes, it costs you 5, but like you're not counterspelling things for fun, right? You're counterspelling things when you're about to win the game or prevent you from dying. So that 5 mana is not that steep. So to me, it's like an unconditional counterspell that's impossible to play around. And you don't need setup, right? You don't need your commander out. You don't need a blue card. You don't need an island in hand. Like you don't need anything to set this thing up. You can play it in a 5-color deck. So I actually think it's
like-
packed and it's not even close.
It's like the
But you
least
don't even have-
free counter spell though. Like if you win the game right away, sure, but like in any other situation, 5 mana is a
Terrible.
ridiculous amount.
You also don't have the option of like casting it for a reasonable amount. It's not like, oh, you can pay 3 mana for a
it's
cancel,
5
or
mana
you can pay
for the
5.
next turn.
Yeah,
It's
always
always
It's like
five.
Force of
5.
Will. Like
It's
Force of
always
Will, you can pay
5.
5 mana on the spot to counter it and not pitch a card and pay a life, right? But it's a very steep
sure.
cost.
But I don't have to pay 5 mana on my next turn and basically skip my next turn for it. Like,
Yeah.
I think Pact, like, if it's CDH, 100% Pact, obviously. Like, I'm only countering stuff because I want to win the game or not lose immediately. But, ugh.
Panharmonicon.
Solitude. Getting by with the 3-1.
Fury, though, died for
Yeah,
Solitude
out of here.
sins.
Out of here.
All right. Okay, how about a blue on blue battle here? We have Misdirection versus Force of Negation. So Misdirection, 3 blue. instant. You may exile a blue card from your hand rather than paying Misdirection's cost. Change the target of target spell with a single target. Force of Negation. 3 mana, so 1 blue instant. If it's not your turn, you may exile a blue card from your hand rather than paying the spell's mana cost. Counter target non-creature spell. If that spell is countered this way, exile it instead of putting it into its owner's graveyard.
I mean,
this is easy. This is so easy.
similar restrictions,
Is it?
right?
You can throw me a wild card?
I don't know what's easy.
Clear,
Tell me
clear
what you think
force,
is clearly.
clear force of negation. It's got to be easy
Yeah.
force of negation. The biggest difference is, well, two differences. Force of negation, countering it's better than redirecting it in most cases, and it also is only 3 mana to cast if you actually want to spend mana on it compared to 5.
Right.
Misdirection. I'm actually picking Misdirection.
Wait.
I played I played so much.
No.
I played so much
Bullpen.
Misdirection
Bullpen.
recently. In like the past couple of months, I've been putting Misdirection in literally like all my blue heavy decks, and you guys don't like redirections. You guys are okay with deflecting spot, but like when I say Bolt Bend, you guys like completely die.
I wince a little bit, so yeah.
Yeah. No, Misdirection is a better Bolt Bend. It's not quite deflecting swap, but it's the next level. And like, yeah, I've been getting people off it all the time. Like you counter a counter spell, somebody swords one of your things and you 2-for-1 somebody else. Like it's so good. It's free and it's like, okay, you have to exile a blue card. I don't think I've ever hard cast it, but like if I'm drawing a lot of cards, which I'm doing in blue always, then it's not a big deal at all to exile something.
It doesn't stop wraths, it doesn't stop Rhystic Study, it doesn't stop
but Force of
Planeswalkers. There's like a
Force of
huge
Negation
list of
doesn't
things
stop-
it doesn't stop.
Yeah, but Force of Negation doesn't stop stuff on your turn. You can't use this exile effect on your own turn. So if somebody counters like your commander or something that you tapped out for, like you're out of luck. So yeah, you could spend 3 mana on your turn to cancel something, but you're not going to. So the Misdirection is actually more flexible. It's better protection on your own turn. If Force of Negation could be on any turn, then I'd take that.
Free on your turn is worth less, right? Because on your turn, you can do stuff while keeping your mana up in case something needs to happen.
Can you?
Like the free is worth more when you like tap out and do something and you don't know what your opponents are doing.
What if you need what if you need a board wipe to actually stick and somebody has a counter
that's
spell?
true.
Like
Then play
there's
the-
a lot of
That-
times
that's a
where,
knock
like,
against Force of Negation, which knocks it down, but still way higher than Misdirection.
Yeah, like
Misdirection,
leaves
man.
ahead.
It's the
leaves
truth.
ahead.
It's the truth. No.
Also,
I
it
could
doesn't
buy being
misdirect
underrated.
abilities. So, like, if someone solitudes you, you can't misdirect it because that's
Nobody's
an ability.
solitude you.
But I don't know. When's the last? Have we seen a misdirection on Commander Clash? I feel
I've
we
literally
might.
been putting it in all my blue heavy decks, all of them.
I don't think you've
Like, I just
drawn
did, like,
it, though. I feel like we haven't actually seen it show up in the games yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen Misdirection since like what, probably like
It was definitely,
season
like, Cosima
12,
deck.
season 11.
Oh, you'll see it eventually. Then I just
Okay.
need to play. I just need to force blue for every single game until
So
I show you.
3-1 Force of Negation.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Okay. Next up. A crowd pleaser. Commandeer versus
Garbage.
Sickening Shoal.
Don't play it.
So Commandeer, 7 mana instant. You may exile 2 blue cards from your hand rather than paying the spell's mana cost. You gain control of target non-creature spell. You may choose new targets for it. And then Sickening Shoal, X black. You may remove a black card with converted mana cost X in your graveyard from the hand or from the game rather than paying its mana cost. Target creature gets -X/-X until end of turn. Seth, you've cast a
God.
Commandeer once or
I-
twice in your lifetime. How do you
Yeah,
feel about this
one of-
matchup?
One of these cards is one of the most iconic Commander Clash cards of all time. The other is a target removal spell that makes you 2-for-1 yourself. I don't even like Swords to Plowshares and target removal that doesn't make you 2-for-1 yourself. And Commandeer is even better in the One Ring world because it steals the One Ring. Someone did that to me in Modern yesterday. So if everyone's playing the One Ring, this goes way up in value even more.
Yeah.
So I think this is like super easy, not even kind of close Commandeer. And not just because of the memes with Commandeer Strip Mine. I think like it actually is just way, way better.
I don't like the logic behind one's a 2-for-1 because literally Commandeer is a 3-for-1.
But you're getting
Get
a
a spell that like
thing, so I
2
guess
for 1 or
it's-
3 for 1, so you can like soften it.
What's that? actually what Seth meant to argue for is he's in favor of Sickening Shoal. It's only
Yeah,
a
no,
3-for-1.
I think it's an easy commandeer just because the shoals, they have that issue where like you really need to have not just a black card in your hand, you need to have like a high mana value card. So if you have like this is like a 5/5 creature, you need a 5 mana value card in your hand. Like I even considered it in Toshiro and I took it out because it was just like it's too inconsistent. Whereas Commandeer, like, I wouldn't run it in most decks, but there are some decks where I'm drawing so many cards, like Eligeth, for example, that I'll jam it and I'll be happy with it. But you can't put it in most decks. You have to put it in like a mono blue deck that draws stupid amounts of cards.
All right. Sorry, guys. I don't know what y'all are talking about. Sickening Shoal is leagues ahead better if we were choosing art.
Oh.
Okay.
Otherwise, I
You
choose
can define it
Commandeer.
however you want to. It doesn't have pretty
It's
good
an
art,
arcane
so.
spell. So Arcane actually, maybe it's a shoal pick actually. It's an arcane spell.
I choose
Arcane
it
is
for
superior.
art. Otherwise, Commandeer by a landslide in every other department.
So I think both are unplayable in their free spell form. But Commandeer, you can just actually spend 7 mana and cast it, and then be like very pleased with the results. If you have to pitch 2 blue cards, like you probably won't be able to do it because you don't have 2 blue cards. But then if you actually do it, you're kind of sad because you just like 3-for-1 yourself. But you can just pay 7 mana and cast it. Right, so it's actually very good. And like Seth said, you can snipe a One Ring or something on its way down, and then you're very happy with that exchange as well. So Commandeer over Sickening Shoal, but I don't think you ever want to cast any of these spells for free. And I guess like Sickening Shoal you can cast, but like
Seth, don't
10
cast
mana,
it.
remove an 8/8 or something is not exactly where you want to be. So
I never cast these garbage cards, please.
I gotta start. This has reminded me that I need to start playing Commandeer more often. I kind of forgot about how good Commandeer was. I'm gonna start playing it again.
Blue domination here. Blue's sneaking into the round of 16 here. Let's see if we can break that up. There is no blue in this next round. Force of Despair.
You're breaking my heart.
Versus Fury of the Horde. So Force of Despair, 1 black instant. If it's not your turn, you may exile a black card from your hand rather than paying the spell's mana cost. Destroy all creatures that entered the battlefield this turn. Fury of the Horde, 7 mana spell. Red sorcery, exile 2 cards from your hand rather than paying its mana cost. Untap all creatures that attack this turn. After this main phase, there's an additional combat followed by an additional main phase.
Ugh. So I do
Why
think
would you
Force
do
of
this,
Despair is slightly better than most people think, but I gotta go with Fury of the Horde. Fury of the Horde just kills people. Extra combat steps is a very frightening ability, and a lot of them are 5 mana, 6 mana anyway. So your only hardcasting is paying 1 or 2 more mana, and then you have the upside that if you can just win the game that turn, you can cast it for free and just get someone combo off, win the game. So I'm gonna go with Fury of the Horde, although both of them are pretty specific deck type cards for me rather than staples.
This kills me because Fear of the Horde I absolutely love, and I've been championing this card for a really long time, but it really is hard to put in certain decks. You have to be super red heavy, and then not only do you have to be super red heavy, you also have to have, enough card draw so that you'll have that in your hand. It does win games. It does definitely win games, but 7 mana is oh my god, that's so much mana. So I started taking it out of some decks. I kept it in some other decks, but I took it out of other decks. Whereas Force of Despair, you can actually hard cast this and it's not a big deal. And you only have to exile 1 card instead of 2. That is an important difference, just like Commandeer is kind of too hard for a lot of decks to pull off. So I'm actually going to have to give it to Force of Despair, even though I love Fury of the Horde so much. I love Force of Despair too. It's just such a good gotcha card, and I run it in multiple black decks instead of Fury of the Horde, where I have to really think about it.
When did this revisionist mentality come in here? First off, I remember the Board Wipe podcast. Y'all were hating and pooping on Force of Despair while I was getting roasted alive.
Wait,
for
I was
loving
with
it.
you. Oh, I think I was
with you
the
too, I
editor.
think.
I was the editor.
No, you weren't.
I was in
remember
editing.
this.
I wasn't in the podcast. I was editing,
You were
putting
so
in my
persuasive,
opinion.
Krim, that everyone
Oh,
was offering their opinion,
yeah.
given this new information.
I am so shocked here that y'all chose Force of Despair over Fury of the Horde. I thought this was gonna be a me against you again, and I'm like, all right, well, whatever. Clearly, if you couldn't tell, I'm choosing Force of Despair. I can at least cast Force of Despair for 3 mana. It is a very good gotcha card, Tomer.
Yes.
Thank you. And it.
No, I was with you. I wasn't in that podcast.
Okay, fair. Somebody else was not it. I was fighting for my life for
There's
Force of
Seth and
Despair.
Richard. There were haters.
Oh yeah.
Don't worry, I'm still a hater. It sucks.
Hey, there we go.
It's a remove soul in black that forces you, like, it's spot removal that requires you to have the perfect timing, which in other words is a remove soul, right? It's like a
But it can
counter
kill
target
more than
creature
one
spell.
thing.
Except it doesn't even kill the ETBs. They still get all their ETBs when this happens. So
kills
I would just rather play
Okay.
like Slaughter Pack, Snuff Out, like any of the black free removal if you're going to try this. Like, yes, if someone like, I don't know, Rise of the Dark Realms, like you got them with the Force of Despair, right? Or they try to make tokens, but it's so narrow. Whereas Fury of the Horde just wins games.
not.
And at 7 mana, I'd be happy. Like you know,
Yeah.
like you get
That's
extra combat,
castable.
like you end games, right? And normally
Okay,
free
so
spells don't
Reckless
matter on your
Assault
turn.
is 4 mana, just as that's the comparison point.
Yeah.
4
But this is like
mana,
an
Reckless
emergency,
Assault.
right? But
This
you
is
can
7
like
mana.
wheel into Fury of the Horde 2 red spells pitch. You can spend your mana pumping your team, equipping your swords, equipping your whatever, and then you pitch cards, Fury of the Horde win. You use your mana to do another combat, so you get 3 combats. So there's like a lot of applications to it. Whereas Force of Despair is just so suspect, right? It's like I'm desperate for a counter spell, but I'm in black, so I have this thing, and it's like, right?
Yeah, I've actually I'm remembering how
actually
bad
cast
Force of Despair is now.
Despair.
Yeah.
Wait,
Oh,
Seth, did
yeah,
you
yeah,
vote Force or
okay.
did you vote Fury?
No, I voted Fury of the Horde, but I said that Force was maybe a little better than we
bring in our
thought.
resident.
These are
Come on, come on,
These are my
ChatGPT.
2 babies.
right?
This
Come on,
really
AI.
sucks.
Come on.
Let's
Beat
see
the
if
AI.
the
These are
AI even
fighting.
knows what Fury of the Horde is. Okay. ChatGPT, are you with me? Are you with me? We need a tie break here. Are you a Crim believer or are you not a Crim believer?
Yo, it is the truth.
Between Force of Despair and Fury of the Horde, the choice depends on your deck strategy and what role you need the card to play. However, if I were to offer a general recommendation based on versatility and potential impact, Force of Despair tends to be the more universally useful card.
ChatGPT, I don't believe you.
Stupid
Can you
AI.
elaborate? Can you elaborate?
No,
Now we want
In
to
general,
elaborate.
Force of
No.
Despair tends to be more versatile because it offers instant speed creature removal that can be especially effective against aggressive strategies or decks that rely on quick creature deployment.
creature.
Quick.
Fury of the Horde can
Deployment.
be strong in decks designed to capitalize on extra combat phases, but it requires careful timing and setup to make the most of it.
There you
Maybe
go.
ChatGPT is a magic genius.
There it is.
ChatGPT,
You know what?
he knows we
Now
can't,
I agree.
we can't do the careful timing setup needed for Fury of the Horde. So they're
Yeah.
like, just Force of Despair. It'll work most of the time.
There it is. Some justice.
There it is. Justice for Crim now, right? The
Yes.
reversal of Summoner's Pact.
I can't believe Force of Despair is in round 2. Who would have thought?
how did
Who
this
would have
happen?
thought?
I would have thought.
I can believe Summoner's Pact is in round 2.
Do we still believe in an
Over
AI
Fury.
world with these results?
Oh, no, not anymore.
Oh.
I'm losing faith.
Let's
Okay.
go.
Next round, Mindbreak Trap versus Reverent Mantra.
Hell
So
yeah.
Mindbreak Trap, 4 mana, 2 blue, instant. If an opponent casts 3 or more spells this turn, you may pay 0 rather than paying Mindbreak Trap's cost. Exile any number of target spells. And then Reverent Mantra, 4 mana, 3 and a white, instant. You may remove a white card from your hand rather than from the game rather than paying its cost. All creatures gain protection from the color of your choice until end of turn. It's just all creatures, not even all creatures you control, but like all
All
creatures.
creatures.
All
gain
creatures.
protection.
Everyone's protected.
That
So I didn't know that Reverent Mana was a card until we did this podcast. But I think I'm voting for it over Mind Break Trap. This is another one that if we were doing CDH, it would be Mind Break Trap, like far and away super easy. But for what we play, I think I'd rather give everything protection than Mind Break Trap. I think Mind Break Trap is just like, it's like a Storm Hate card, which just in casual is going to be stuck in your hand too often or 4 mana too often. Reverent Mana seems like a not great card, but a fine way to like close out the game or whatever, right? Like a mini Chroma's Will almost, where you just give everything protection, swing in, kill the table. So I kind of like it. I'm gonna go with Mantra.
I have to go for Mantra as well. Because, again, if it was the same reason as Seth, if it was CDH and everybody was playing fast mana and casting 3 spells reliably each turn, and the win conditions were all about casting 3+ spells each turn, then it's obviously the Mind Bait track. But Reverend Mantra, it protects you from red board wipes at instant speed. It also allows you to get around potential blockers. If your opponents just have like a bunch of green creatures on the battlefield, you can get around it so you can use it offensively too. It can make blockers more better. It just has a lot of versatility to it. And I think this card is super underplayed, which is why I brought it up over here. Reverend Mantra.
Reverent Mantra used to be in my humans deck, and I liked it, but I don't know, Mind Break Trap. I think I've actually seen Mind Break Trap used on Clash not too long ago. So it was like 3 seasons ago. Phil got me with it. Oh, yeah, Phil got me with it 2 seasons ago.
Flash forward to 4 years ago.
Oh, okay, whatever. 2
We're
seasons
old.
ago. I mean, that's fair. I think they're both kind of bad in casual, but
No.
I get. Oh, wow, this is not clear cut at all. This is just like if I just wanted to roll the die, I would be okay with whatever choice it gave me.
Sorry, that's not tournament legal, Krim. You
Ask
must
ChatGPT what you
You
think.
got choose.
ChatGPT. What would I
ChatGPT
choose?
only tie breaks cannot mind control you, Krim.
They're both so bad.
They're both
Casual.
so bad. Well, which one would you rather have?
All this Mantra hate.
All right, I'll give you my opinion, Krim, and you can decide. They're both
I'm going Mantra.
okay. So my opinion no longer matters. But here's my opinion: they both suck. Okay, but Mind Break Trap sucks because it's hard to get a single opponent to cast 3 spells. But you could just cast it for 4 mana and exile the stack, right? Like that is actually a plausible thing, and you can remove like all the storm cards off the stack, and that is, I think, more powerful.
And abilities, right?
Exile any
Or is
number of
it
target
spells? Okay.
I think that's more powerful than this weird protection thing. The one cute thing you guys didn't mention is you can knock off like auras and stuff that people are playing because it affects all creatures, or you can try to like finagle some kind of like one-sided combat between 2 opponents. Like, one person attacks the other person and then you help out one person. But it's also situational, whereas
You can
I
stop
just 4
Niv as a
mana Mind Break Trap
curiosity
to
and
counter a
white.
spell. Like that's not bad. Right?
But is that worth
You
putting in your deck, though? Do you really put Mind Break Trap in your deck?
You put
I don't know if
Reverend
I put
Mantra in
you.
your deck. I don't know.
I guess
Right?
I-
Like, these are we're scraping
Yeah, I guess
the bottom
that's
of the barrel
true.
here.
I guess I wouldn't put either in my deck, technically.
This is like the battle of like the third stringers right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, you're like I don't want to. I'm just
Like-
gonna get someone off free agency.
The play-in game.
Yeah, this is out of the G League. Somebody here, right? Like,
Oh,
All
God,
right.
this matchup.
It's gonna go all the way.
All right, next matchup. Oh, we got a tournament favorite here: Fierce Guardianship versus Foil. So Fierce Guardianship, 2 and a blue, instant. If you control a commander, you may cast a spell without paying its mana cost. Counter target non-creature spell. Foil, 2 blue, instant. You may discard an island card and another card rather than paying this spell's mana cost. Counter target spell. Wait, this
You know what
cycle's
sucks about this
You
is
have to
that I
discard 2
actually run
cards for
foil
foil?
a lot. I run foil in a lot of my blue decks, but it's like up against Fierce. That's just not fair. Like, I think foil could have made it like a lot of rounds, but it had to be paired with Fierce right off the bat. So it's like I'm gonna grudgingly give it to Fierce.
I'm reading this right? It's discard an island and a card?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yes. You are
So
reading
you're
that
chucking
correctly.
2 cards just to counter a
Yes.
spell?
Yes, but like if you're in a blue
just
deck
play
that draws a
Commandeer.
buttload of cards, like I put in my Cosima deck, like I'm drawing like 5 plus
okay.
cards every single spell.
Is it a budget choice? Like, are you playing it because it's optimal, or are you playing it because you want a free spell that's like budget friendly?
I would run both. Because, like, if I'm like an Elegant, which says whenever you scry, you draw instead, and I'm drawing like a billion cards, and I just have like a thought vessel on the battlefield or whatever, then yeah, I don't care about efficiency. I'm just going for the effect. So
I don't like
but it's
foil.
fierce.
Too
Fierce is better
pringly,
all the
too
time.
pringly in 2023. It's obviously fierce, right? Like not even kind of close.
If we could put it lightly, since we're doing March Madness, foil, right, is us as a basketball team. And then Fierce is literally like us against any NBA team, but sure, let's go with directly. It's against like the Nuggets. Let's just go with that. The world champs. So yeah, Fierce. I believe in us, though, guys. Don't worry. I think we're a great team.
we just gotta have the halftime talk.
If we were up against Team Sickening Shoal, I think we would have had a chance. But like,
yeah.
I don't
Maybe.
think foil's playable at all. Like, if it
No.
was discard an island, we might have a conversation. But it's discard 2 cards, and specifically has to be an island, which is like very difficult, right? Like you need to have the island in hand. If you're playing a multicolor deck, you may not have an island in hand. So yeah, even if it wasn't against Fierce, I don't know if I like foil at all.
Even if it was a mono blue deck, I wouldn't want this either.
It's only good in decks that draw more cards than they have any use for.
Wouldn't you just
Like-
always play Commandeer over this?
Yeah,
though?
when you take
like,
Commandeer-
isn't it like
Commandeer
super
is
strictly worse
non-creature?
Commandeer?
So Commandeer
Yeah.
is
Then
non-creature,
you have to get
so foil
two,
can hit
you have to get rid of
creatures.
2 blue cards. But yeah,
but like
I
you
run
have to have
both.
specifically an island.
Like I just like an Edric. I run all of these. I run Fierce. I run Foil. I run Misdirection. I run.
Like, would you not
you-
just play
my
like Swan
Commandeer.
Song or something?
What's-
Like just like have the actual like pay
I'm
1
drawing-
mana, but like it actually kind of works.
If I'm drawing like
when you
7
haven't won the
cards a
game already.
turn, if I'm drawing 7 cards a turn, then my mana is too precious for even a Swan Song.
Okay,
So-
but you
so-
did choose Fierce, right, Tober? Or did
No,
you
we're talking.
choose-
Yeah, it's a Fierce.
Okay,
It's
okay.
a sweep.
It was a sweep. It's a clean
We move
sweep.
on.
The Disney story didn't happen. Foil just
But
came
yeah.
out at halftime and
Well,
got destroyed
yeah.
further.
So you have a second shot at redemption for your love of
We're
fogs.
doing it. We're gonna get there.
Okay.
You know where I'm going with this one.
Snag. Snag versus Sunscour.
I pulled this
3
one
and
out
a
for
green.
you.
So 4 mana instant. You may discard a forest from your hand instead of paying Snag's mana cost. Prevent all combat damage that would be dealt by unblocked creatures this turn. And then Sunscour, 7 mana white spell. You may remove 2 white cards from your hand rather than paying its mana cost. Destroy all creatures.
Oh God. I mean, so Sunscour is horrible. Snag, I don't think is that good, but it is a fog, and I think I would rather have a free fog than like a Wrath that makes me exile 2 cards. There's so many other options for Wraths. Why would I ever put Sunscour in my deck in 2023? We live in a world where Vanquish the Horde is a thing. Like you don't need this effect. So
Seth, how could you say that? Because with that logic, I don't know if you know this, but you could actually play basic lands over Snag. I would
Wait, you're
rather
saying it's
play
worse
Basic
than
lands over Sunscour.
I
That
would
is
play
also
a
true.
basic land over this Snag.
I know
Like,
you hate fogs, but like fogs are really good. And Sunscour is like just not playable, period. Maybe Snag is
Okay,
an
so
either,
for
but
7
like,
mana,
Sunscour
you
is
can
not.
cast. You can just hard cast a like sad Wrath.
That's
Yeah.
the saddest Wrath of your life.
sad and
though.
bad Wrath. Yeah.
You know
Like,
what?
I-
I'm actually giving it to Snag just because
Hey,
it's so much easier to
hey.
discard an extra
Oh,
land than it
ChatGPT
is
is not
to
gonna like fogs,
Yo,
so.
y'all are
two
like
white cards. Because like, imagine you have like land tax or just anything. Like you could just discard you could discard basics or force duels or whatever
Yeah.
all the time. Like you'll always have extra lands if you're drawing a lot of cards. Whereas
You're
I don't know,
playing
considering
a
2 cards
fog.
is pretty bad. I know,
but you're
but I'd run
playing
this.
a fog.
I'd actually run this over
that
Obscure.
makes you discard.
And it
Like,
only stops
it's-
unblocked creatures, so you can actually kill some stuff, like put all your blockers in front of something, and like,
Hell yeah.
like it's so good. It's so good.
It's not good, but
Fogs?
I mean, Sunscour
It's so
is
medium,
pretty
but
bad.
better than
It's so
Sunscour.
medium.
Y'all are giving me like a heart attack in the morning right now. Okay, like it's like I would choose Sunscour. I would play god awful bad
You know what? I
Wrath,
picked
right?
Sunscour, but I would
Over-
not run either of these cards ever.
Yeah, I wouldn't
At
play.
least Sunscour is an effect that I want.
we
Wait,
break
Did
it
you just
down.
change
down.
your mind?
Snag?
Tomer?
Are you
I thought
changing
were
your
going
vote?
Snag. So you're going
Yeah.
Sunscour?
No.
I'm going to Sunscour.
Oh, it's so
Break it
bad,
down.
though.
Break it down. Seth, let me explain it.
Yes.
At least it kills
Fogs,
creatures.
Fogs just in general in Commander, when you count card advantage, that's already -2 cards in your hand. Then you discard a card. Fogs are like -4 cards if you have to discard. Like, this is literally the same. If I open it with this in my hand, I've mulliganed to 3. Like, you gotta understand that logic.
But what about it combos with Cultivate? You get a lane into your hand. What are you going to do?
No, because then I clearly can't cultivate this terrible fog, and then like, dude, no.
But really, Krim, are you ever going to put Sunscour in your deck? Like, it's so far down the list of Wraths that even you, who plays more Wraths than anyone else in the entire multiverse, like, do you even get so far down the list that you're playing Sunscour? I don't think so.
Do you ever watch 2 teams that you hate because you have to? That's what this is. I think these are both garbage teams. And I would choose a basic land. No, when in doubt, actually affect the board. I'm gonna Sunscour.
Come on, Richard.
So the problem with Sunscour is, like, you don't want to cast it for free. I guess one of the scenarios where you cast it for free, you're like stacks out of the game, like our Salt Week or something, right? And you're like, oh, I Armageddon, and then I need to Sunscour or something, right? But that's like so ridiculously niche. If you wanted efficient Wraths, you have 1 mana Blasphemous Act, 2 mana Vanquish the Horde, 3 mana Toxic Deluge. None of those are, well, I guess one of them is white. And you also have 3 mana Hour Revelation. But there are plenty of games where you cast an Ondu Inversion just to remove creatures and are totally fine with it. And that's an 8 mana destroy all creatures at that point, right? But on the other hand,
you're never
Snag
casting
is a fog, and it's a pretty good one.
Yes, it is.
This one's close.
Come on.
Richard, think here. Think for a second, okay? I know you got some meatballs of takes here, okay? But like,
I like
there's
fog. I
no
like Wraths.
way.
There's so many
like
better
fog.
Wraths I would play over
Yes.
this. I play so many Wraths, and I have never once thought to myself, Sunscour is the play. Like, I always advocate that there's always some deck you want it in. And I can't imagine a deck that wants Sunscour over the other Wraths. Aside from literally, I Armageddon, and for some reason I need to Wrath. But how are you winning if you're doing this? And you need 2 white spells?
Yeah, then you're just trolling the table. And they gotta be white, so you can't even play it in like Esper or something very easily.
Some
I would
decks
take
can
some
draw
of the worst
a lot of
Wraths.
cards, and then they're pinched on mana, and I think that's where Sunscour would be good. It's just there's far less of those in white. Like, if this is a blue card,
But why can't you just use your... I guess so the best thing you could do is like 5 mana tutor this up and then cast for free because you spent 5 mana on your tutor. You no longer have any mana, right? Like there are situations where you spent all your mana digging for a card. But like, if you're so desperate on resources, like, do you actually have 2 white cards to pitch at this point in time? Like, that's...
maybe you just need it. Like, you know, it's a worst case. Like, okay.
And in that scenario,
bottom
isn't
3 fog.
And in that scenario, isn't Snag saving you? Like, isn't that just an easier way to save yourself? It basically is a Wrath, but you only got to discard a forest instead of 2 white cards.
All right, I'm going Snag. I'm going Snag. It's a 2/2. We're going back to our AI.
I have no faith in ChatGPT. They're going to go with the Wrath.
We've got a challenge. We're challenging the call.
We're challenging the call.
Between Snag and Sunscour, Snag is generally considered to be the more impactful and versatile card. C.
What's the prompt?
What's
the prompt? What's the prompt?
Yes.
What did you ask?
let's look at the recording. Let's check back the recording.
What did you put in the prompt?
Wait. Krim doesn't believe us. ChatGPT, elaborate.
In most cases, Snag tends to be more versatile and impactful due to its instant speed nature and its ability to disrupt your opponent's plans. Sunscour, while offering a mass removal effect, can have a significant impact on your own board as well, making it less reliable as a general-purpose card.
Okay. Do you know what happened
Not even
here?
a good reasoning. That's not even good reasoning.
What happened?
Okay. So so when it breaks down the cards, it actually lists the Oracle text, right? And it lists Sunscour, like the real Sunscour and the real Snag. But in that final explanation, it says Snag, parenthesis, Vapor Snag.
Hey, I will take it.
I don't know.
I will take it.
ChatGPT
Wait, all right.
is a genius or it outplayed itself.
Snag.
Let's be real here. These two do not matter. They don't matter
I
because
guess
they're either one is going to
wait.
lose
They're
the
both
future
gonna
screenshot,
get
so we don't have
sometimes
to talk
you-
about it.
Yeah.
gets blown by a bad ref call. We're gonna have to send it back to the committee for a postseason review. Did ChatGPT understand the question or not? I am not sure.
I'm not fighting this
ChatGPT
call.
doesn't
It's
even
not
know
worth
the card
it.
There's no
exists.
review.
Prim,
There's
it's
no
not
review.
worth it.
There's no
ChatGPT
review.
not
All
worth it.
reviews are
card
final,
exists.
Prim. We're in the final 2
We're not
minutes.
I'm not fighting this
Yo,
one.
I am the coach right now,
Everyone's
raging,
off.
throwing my like everything onto the what?
All right. We're going back to the realm of playable cards. Okay, flawless maneuver versus grief. Did I say playable? I was mistaken. So flawless
playable.
maneuver. 2 and a white instant. If you control a commander, you may cast this for free. Creatures you control gain indestructible until end of turn. And Grief is the final member of our Modern Horizon cycle. 4 mana, 3/2 black menace. When it ETBs, target opponent reveals their hand. Choose target non-land card from it. That player exiles that card, or that player discards that card. Evoke, exile a black card from your hand.
So Grief's just like by far the worst in the cycle, right? Like not even close. It's a Thoughtseize. A Thoughtseize just isn't good enough in a 4-player game. So Flawless Maneuver, I think, is easy choice. Like protecting your team's good and it's free and it's a fine playable card in white creature deck. So Grief is just really bad.
It's flawless maneuver. You don't play Grief ever in
Yeah.
Commander.
What about Panharmonicon?
Even with Panharmonicon, the Thoughtseize is just
not
not good enough. It's
It
not
just
enough.
doesn't. It doesn't scale in multiplayer.
I need you here, Tomer, because it does scale in multiplayer if you blink it.
Oh my
man.
god, no.
Flawless maneuver
Tomer-
saves you from board wipes. I don't know. Like it's
Yeah.
actually good.
I like Flawless
Tomer-
Maneuver.
Tomer, wait, hold on, but like, really? Okay,
Wait,
you're right.
okay,
You're
which
right.
one
You're
do you play
100%
more?
right.
Yeah.
You're 100% right.
I know you play flawless maneuver.
I
more
know
than
he
Grief.
plays Thoughtseize in Commander, but will
I
you play
do
Yeah,
Grief?
but that's with Zevlor.
Yeah,
Will you play
Zevlor.
Grief?
No,
That's a
Zevlor.
2/4.
No. I do play like Palaka Predation as well.
Hey, it's
Not in
MDFC though.
yeah,
Let me see.
All right, that's a clean sweep for. Oh, I almost put Grief in for flawless maneuver. For flawless
Yeah.
maneuver, flawless victory. All right, Force of Vigor versus Deadly Rollick.
yeah,
That's a tough first round
that's an easy
matchup. That's a tough first
Okay.
round matchup.
Wow.
Force
is
of
it?
Vigor, 2 green, 4 mana, instant. If it's not your turn, you may exile a green card from your hand rather than paying its mana cost. Destroy up to 2 target artifacts and or enchantments. Deadly Rollick, 4 mana, black, instant. You can play it for free if you have a commander. Exile target creature.
This is Deadly Rollick, like 100 Windmill Slam, right? Like it doesn't put you down a card, and creatures are generally more of a threat in Commander than non-creatures because everybody has a commander in the command zone that their deck is built around.
But Deadly Relic is still just a targeted removal spell. It only kills one thing. Vigor,
Yeah.
Force of Vigor doesn't get 2 things.
Okay,
I
but
mean, I
also,
think
You
it's
always want 2 things.
this is
and you
this
go down
is
a
really
card.
tough. This is really because like Deadly Rollick also doesn't just kill it exiles though, and
That's
Tomer's
true.
right. It does not make you go down a card. Like you could just freely like relax if you have your commander. Although being able to blow up 2 enchantments and or artifacts at instant speed.
Isn't the math kind of the same, though? Like, Deadly Relic, you spend a card, you get rid of 1 thing. Force of
But you have
Vigor,
the
you
power
spend
of
2
your
cards, you get rid of
commander.
2 things.
But this is also it's less splashable. You have to exile a green card. So you have to
You
be
That's
can
more-
also
true.
just pay mana too if you want to.
You can also just pay mana, but they're both
Agile.
4 mana.
Yeah.
But okay, so like blowing up artifacts and or enchantments, this is nice if like you're getting like locked down by something. I don't know.
Stacks pieces. Hmm.
But also, if you're in green, don't you want this to be on a creature, not a non-creature spell? Because green's all
Mono
about
green spell
creature
slinger.
synergies.
I mean, there's Jund, there's Sultai, there's lots of green-based decks that could also like appreciate this. And
Yeah.
It's Deadly
I'm a
Relic
card,
for me,
but-
but I think it's closer than maybe people think. Like, I think Force of Vigor is also a good card, but I think Deadly Relic, as Krim said, it does exile. And it is literally free if you have your commander. You don't have to pitch a card. So I think that puts Deadly Relic slightly ahead for me.
Yeah.
because you are affecting, like I guess you are affecting the board with Force of Vigor as well, but you are getting rid of cards in your hand. Whereas you've now played a commander, you're like you've your commanders on board, and you're removing like the best threat. I also probably am in Deadly Rollick, but literally by a hair.
It's
this is
super
like
close.
a buzzer beater. This
like
is a
Deadly
buzzer
Relic
beater.
doesn't work for free if you don't have your commander out. So there is like some.
You can play
Sure,
around Deadly
but I
Relic,
could-
right? Like if you have a creature you want, you remove their creature first and play yours.
But I'm still okay with 4 mana exile at that point, right? With the huge upside of it being free.
Yeah, I hate spot removal, but I'm a Tomer. This is Windmill Slam, Deadly Rollick. Like, you remember the 4 mana white spell, like exile 2 artifacts or enchantments if it's your main phase?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
that used to be played a lot. We don't play it anymore. I find the number of times there's actually 2 things you want to remove are very low. Usually it's like some must-kill threat, and then like someone's mana
And a
rock or something.
mana
Like, you know,
rock,
like
yeah.
some random thing that like didn't really matter. So like the 2-for-1 aspect of it, I feel is a lot. It's like upsold too much. Usually it's just one thing and like some random value thing that goes with it. Deadly Rollick, you don't have to pitch a card. You can target whatever you want. It also exiles. It's also like reasonable to like hard cast if you don't have your commander. So I think Deadly Rollick's just more versatile. Like creature spot removal is already narrow, but like enchantment artifact removal is even more narrow than creature removal, right? So I'd rather just go with the creature removal. That's a clean sweep, right?
I think that's a sweep.
Yeah.
It looked
Although
like it
me
was
and Crim
close
liked
coming
it.
in, but
We
apparently
liked
not.
it more
It just
than-
ran away with it.
Me and Crim are higher on it than you two, though, I think. Like,
Yeah.
I like
I-
Force of Vigor, but
I don't know.
Alright.
I think Force of Vigor, if I'm playing... It's, yeah. It's a clean sweep. Doesn't matter.
Pyrokinesis versus Snuff Out. Pyrokinesis, 6 mana instant red. You may exile a red card from your hand rather than paying its mana cost. It deals 4 damage divided any way you choose among any number of target creatures. So like Fury, but no body and no planeswalker, but it's at instant speed. And then Snuff Out is a 4 mana instant. If you control a swamp, you may pay 4 life instead of paying Snuff Out's mana cost. Destroy target non-black creature. It can't be regenerated.
oh. I mean, 4 damage just not enough. Same criticism I have for Fury. Plus, Snuff Out, you don't even have to go down a card. Like, you just need a swamp and some life. It's a 40 life format. Like, 4 life in Commander isn't nothing. Like, that's not a big deal at all. So I think that actually Snuff Out might be even a little underrated in Commander, honestly, when it comes to targeted removal. So easy.
It's like $12.
easy
doesn't
Snuff
everybody
Out.
know Snuff Out's very
Yeah,
good?
Snuff Out's like $12.
Yeah, it's an expensive card. People know
I thought
that's
that
a
was
good
because
card.
of Pauper.
Maybe, but
Okay.
I think it's he's played a lot of play in.
Deadly Rollick or Snuff Out, Seth?
Oh, Rollick.
Ooh.
I mean, I guess that's our next round.
Potential
Next round
that's
matchup.
spoiling the next
Yeah.
round, actually. No, okay,
Yeah,
we'll just
no,
get there
it's
when
an
we get
easy
there.
Snuff
then.
Out. It's more effective. Snuff Out's more effective. It doesn't put you down a card. Easier to cast and everything like that.
I will say, though, in the right deck, Pyrokinesis can kind of just absolutely, like, incinerate a board, right?
Well, if
Because
you're like
spreading...
Torbran or something,
A board of
or
1/1s.
Garrison.
No, I mean,
Anything
like...
that's
Brad, that's a lot of damage.
Yeah, I guess
you
that's
do need-
true.
It turns them all into lightning bolts. So like,
you need
there
a
are
lot
ways
of
to make it
setup,
good.
though, to make Pyrokinesis good, whereas Snuff Out is just always going to be fine, unless they're playing a mono black deck. So, yeah, Snuff Out.
The problem with red is they don't draw cards. They impulse draw. It's like if you could somehow exile a card from exile to cast this, then this like actually might get somewhere. But like you
twice
actually need
removed.
to pitch cards from your hand, which red does not easily do. So it's not that easy to cast as Pyrokinesis. So
I think if you want to be pitching cards, it's generally you have to be in blue.
Snuff Out.
Need that
Snuff
card
Out
draw.
it is. All right. Snapback versus Downhill Charge. Who knows what any of these cards
Ooh,
are? Okay.
what?
I know
2
Snap.
mana instant.
Back.
You may exile a blue card from your hand rather than paying the spell's mana cost. Return target creature to its owner's hand.
Oh yeah.
Versus Downhill Charge. 2 and a
Oh,
red
yeah.
instant. You may sacrifice a mountain instead of paying Downhill Charge's mana cost. Target creature gets +X/+0 until end of turn, where X is the number of mountains you control.
Hell yeah.
This
I
might be
dis-
the weakest matchup in the whole first round. These cards.
Yeah.
I mean, so I like the idea, I guess, of Downhill Charge, but sagging a mountain is a painful condition to cast it for free. Like, you're only pumping one creature for one turn and only power, and you gotta sacrifice one of your lands, which actually powers it down. So I guess it's gotta be Snapback. I guess Snapback's another one of those cards that I think CDH players play because it is like free or whatever. I don't think I'd play either, but I guess I gotta give it to Snapback because I don't want to be sacking my own lands. That seems like too much. That's a bridge too far.
I think like downhill charge. I only put it in Zada and Vadrik because Zada you get to copy it for each other creature you control.
That actually sounds
Vadrik,
good.
Vadrik gives you a spell discount greater or equal to his power. So these are very efficient. These are free ways of doing that and setting up a storm turn. You only use it to like close out. You only cast these cards to end games, but like I don't think sacrificing a mountain is that much worse than like exiling 2 cards from your hand. I think they're about the same. But yeah, I think it's snapback, but I wouldn't run either of these.
Neither of these
outside
spells
of, like,
are free.
Very specific.
Neither of these spells are free because I'm never doing that free cost for any of these spells. So I'm looking at it. Snapback is 2 mana. I can cast it for 2, whatever.
Snapback is good. I mean, so downhill charge is a combo piece, right? Like you have to end the game, or you can use it like a pseudo hatred, like your opponent attacks someone, and then you're like, ha ha, like snap back, you're dead, or not snap back, downhill charge, you're dead. But it's so
hard cast,
situational.
like,
Snapback is like removal that's like free, and it's not even like if you have to pay it, it's like 2 mana. It's not even that bad, right? It's like 1 mana more than you would normally pay for this effect. So if you like Swords to Plowshares or things like that, like Snapback like kind of does the thing, and you can also bounce your things for value, Seth. You can Muldrifter,
that's
Snapback,
true.
Muldrifter or something. So
I
I
would
think
just play
Snapback
Snap,
is like
though.
infinitely more playable, and like there's a reasonable argument that you could put it in a blue deck and your blue deck gets better as opposed to downhill charge, which is like a very specific combo thing you're about to do. So I actually like
Snapback definitely has a broader appeal. I still don't know if I'd play it. Maybe if I'm playing like Muldrifter, like if I can reasonably bounce my own creatures for value, then it goes up in value a little
Like
bit.
imagine
I think.
Deluvian
wait, why would
Primordial,
you-
Snapback, get it again.
Why would
Deluvian
you do that
Primordial.
when you could play Snap, though? Like, literally, like, it untaps 2 lands, right?
You do have to have 2 mana up.
You do have to have 2 mana. This is like actually free. But what about Vapor Snag? We know what ChatGPT would go with in their deck.
Was that a 4-0 for Snapback? No one chose
Yeah, I
downhill
think so,
charge.
I think
Not even
so,
Tomer
yeah.
in a Zada deck. Okay.
I mean, they both have applications. I just think Snapback's overall.
All right.
better.
Last match of the round of 32. Abolish versus Submerge. Zoomers learning about new cards today. Abolish. 1 white. 3 mana instant. You may discard a Plains card rather than paying Abolish's mana cost. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. Submerge. 5 mana blue instant. If an opponent controls a forest and you control an island, you may play Submerge without paying its mana cost. Put target creature on top of its owner's library.
Oh, yeah.
Submerge actually seems good. Like that actually.
Yeah,
like,
Submerge is good.
Doesn't
We're playing
Submerge see
Commander.
legacy play? It's
Green
actually
is-
really good.
It used to see
Yeah.
legacy play. Yeah, there was a time. I don't know if it does anymore.
Merfolk, baby.
But like, it's Commander. Green is the most popular color. You have 3 opponents. Odds of someone having a forest are pretty high, right? And then this is just
Yeah.
like free stop
You
a
don't play
creature for a
basics
turn.
anymore.
You straight up put it on top of their library.
Yeah,
They
it
can't even,
denies
like,
a card
play it
draw,
again. Like,
right?
skip
It
and
bans
draw
it.
as well.
Die draw, yeah.
And it's
That
not
card-
even
that
basic
card is
forests. So like triomes, dual lands will count towards it as well.
Yep.
You can play
Abolish is
Yavimaya, giving everyone a forest to
Ooh,
ensure.
yes.
Whoa.
Gotta turn on to turn on.
40 chest. I don't even need
to build
Yavimaya, though.
around.
It's like it's just a good card. Abolish, I like too. I'm sad that it had to go up against Submerge, but
Abolish
that's
seems
a two,
okay.
It 2-for-1s you but Submerge is
I like
free.
that
Abolish
Abolish
is so bad.
Abolish, I don't think it's so bad. It's like, it reminds me of Snap. Is it from the same cycle as Snap, actually? I'm curious, because it's like
No.
1 more mana
No.
than Disenchant,
It's
right?
from the
so
it's
like,
from the cycle of Snag.
oh. But like 3 mana to blow up an artifact or enchantment at instant speed is only like 1 more than the going rate, so it doesn't seem that bad, but I'd rather
would
deal with a
never
creature,
play
I guess, if I had to
Disenchant.
choose.
I don't know if Disenchant's going great anymore, but I do agree that it's definitely playable, and like White is really good at putting planes in its hand.
Yeah,
Like,
this
that's
is
kind of-
the color to discard planes, right? Because you
Yes.
have land tax to shove planes in your hand.
Land
you can
tax,
afford to miss a land drop
Land tax.
because your catch up ramp can be effective, right? There are cases where you don't actually need to make the land drop and still make the land drop that turn, right? So
Then you like Sun Titan it back or Savine's Reclamation it back. That's
but it's-
essentially
it's
ramping.
still-
Yes.
It's so bad.
Like if I'm in white and I want to, and I have to either exile a white card, or discard planes, I'm going to discard planes 9 times out of 10. But
Well, I
yeah,
just get it
submerge.
finding
You don't
planes.
even go down a card. You don't go down a
Yeah.
card. Like that's the crazy
I
thing.
don't
is,
want to
like,
play Submerge either, though. These are kind of.
Oh, Submerge
I
is
feel
so
like
good,
I should
though.
start playing
Good.
Submerge more.
Submerge is so good.
It seems like a gotcha card too. I feel like I've underrated Submerging Commander. The more I think about it,
I'm
the more I
surprised-
like it.
I'm surprised it hasn't really caught on yet. It's actually like
Yeah.
really good.
Like it's
and
absolutely
it's an old
correct.
card. It's from 2000.
It is.
That's
So
It
if
is
your opponent doesn't have a
$5 though.
force, this is like the saddest card you've
Oh,
ever
yes.
seen. Right?
Sure,
Like
that
unlike
is
other
true.
cards, where you're like if I pay like real cost, it's not too bad. This
Everyone
is,
plays green.
$5
Everyone
so
plays
much.
green.
And you just put then you tutor up your Yavimaya. All right. We
okay,
have an out
so
to it.
Submerge.
We have an out.
Destroys, abolish,
Yeah.
and with that, we move to the round of
Alright.
16. So now things are getting hot. All of the people that snuck in for like they squeezed out the regular season
They're
at
outta
like
here.
50%. They're gone. Except maybe some cards here.
Most of them are gone. Most of them.
Sometimes the weaker seed gets matched up with the weaker seed and they sneak through.
Upsets happen.
Round 2,
All
first
right, let's
match,
get it.
Summoner's Pact versus Subtlety. Summoner's Pact had an upset round 1. Some of the board members didn't agree.
It's not getting past. It's not getting
Didn't
past round
agree.
2.
We'll see if ChatGPT is
subtlety
going to
time.
hold up here. Subtlety
No.
versus Summoner's Pact.
Not on my watch. Come on, voice of
Subtlety-
reason,
yeah.
subtlety.
Subtlety's not very good. Like
Yeah.
it's okay. It snuck through the first round. Summoner's Pact, it's a tutor. It finds the best green creature in your entire deck. I think it's still Summoner's Pact. I think I'm more likely to have a Summoner's Pact in my deck than a Subtlety in my deck.
Over Cord, over
You
the
play them
Green
all.
Sun Zenith,
You
over
don't have
Finale.
to go over. You play them all, right?
Well, how many of these are going to be running?
Yeah.
No way.
It's a free
No way.
tutor.
But I'm not
Okay,
going to have
Dem-
Subtlety in my
It's
deck.
not
People
a
play
free tutor.
Diabolic Tutor, right? That's a
It puts it in
4-mana
your
tutor.
hand and
This
you
is
have to pay
also a
4
4-mana
mana.
tutor that lets you cheat like mana, basically the turn you cast it, right?
Come
Yeah.
on, Crim. Come on, Crim.
You can get
I
a
mean,
Eternal
this
Witness,
is-
cast it again.
This is easily Subtlety. I can at least, in the worst case scenario, play Subtlety for 4 mana. I still like it. It's a flyer. It's a 3/3 body. Like, dude, I think Subtlety is better. And
This is the
No.
ChatGPT show.
and-
No.
And,
Oh,
and
God.
I'm
One
giving
more
it a Summoner's
thing.
Pact easily. Like Summoner's Pact is way better than Subtlety.
have you ever seen me cast like a Summoner's Pact? No.
Well, you don't
Have I
play
ever seen you
green,
cast a
nor do you play
Subtlety? No.
creatures.
Yeah.
But for the
Yes,
rest of us
yes,
normal
I-
players,
Look, I'm just stating.
All right, ChatGPT, you ruined my day.
all right, ready?
Our day, Tomer.
You ready? Let's see if ChatGPT favored Summoner's Pact round 1 versus Fury. Let's see if it favors it over Subtlety.
Between Summoner's Pact and Subtlety, Summoner's Pact is generally considered to be the more versatile and impactful card in a wider range of scenarios.
ChatGPT confirmed
Yes.
Green Mage.
Yes.
Confirmed Green Mage.
Summoner's
Oh
Pact
my
into the
God.
top 8. I can't believe it actually made it to the top 8.
I bet you ChatGPT would just put Summer's Pact in as the winner. Be like, between Fierce Guardianship and Summer's Pact is more versatile. Like, get out of here.
Is this unsportsmanlike
Get outta here.
conduct? Are you mocking the referees?
Can you just ask
You're gonna
it?
Are
get
you
a
mocking the
technical
integrity of the
Give
league,
me a yellow
Tomer? I don't know
card.
that we can do this.
Tomer's getting a technical foul over there.
Technical foul. All right,
no.
this one's a hot one here. Deflecting
Tomer's
tough.
sixth foul.
versus Force of Will. Deflecting Swat versus Force of Will.
This-
We're
this should
talking
be
like
like-
this is easy.
1995 versus 2022 or whatever here.
This is easy.
It is
This is like
easy.
a finals level matchup.
Oh, is
you
it
think
easy?
It's easy?
Okay.
It
What,
is
what are
easy.
your
I don't
options?
think-
Easy.
They
SWAT
think it's
doesn't
easily
put you down a
deflecting
card.
SWAT.
It's more splashable, and it's just it's like one of the best CDH cards for a reason. It's so versatile too. It also can redirect abilities. Doesn't put you down a card. Very splashable. Force of Will is a good card. It's very good, but you still have to go down a card, and you have to be in heavy and blue. So definitely SWAT.
Isn't Force of
Deflecting
Will
SWAT
also a CDH staple though? Like,
Yeah,
if
you have
we're
to be
gonna
heavy
go with
blue
CDH,
for it.
But I think
Tomer,
if you had to choose
very
one card in your
simply-
opening hand between the two in CDH, what would you choose?
I choose Force. One literally
I choose
saves
SWAT.
your
I
life.
think it'd be SWAT, because SWAT is also a counter spell, right?
No, it's
If
a
I have a
counterspell
Ristic
to
Study
a
drawing me a
counterspell,
bunch
sure.
of cards, and I
it
want
counters
Force of Will.
other
But
counters.
Yeah, it counters it. You can redirect counter spells
That's more
to
narrow
themselves.
than Force of Will. Force of Will literally counters anything.
So you have,
but
deflecting SWAT is literally free if you have your commander, but it doesn't stop everything Force of Will does. Force of Will is a higher cost. You're always going to have to spend a card. It's got to be blue, you spend a life, but it stops anything. So it's like flexibility versus efficiency, I guess. I think it's super close. I'm kind of with Krim, though, where I think I would go with Force of Will, honestly. I think it's super close, but I think Force of Will, the flexibility.
Too. Like,
It's
at
not
the
even
worst
close.
case, Force, you're not pink.
Yeah,
I'm Team Tomer. I think it's not even close for SWAT's fleet.
Really?
Right? Like,
What? No.
especially
Force of-
CDH, you're paying like 4 colors, 3 colors. You may not have a blue spell to
Sure,
pitch.
CDH, that's a different thing.
Well,
But actually, no.
we're focusing casual, but like in casual, 100% deflecting
Still
SWAT. It's just
SWAT,
like
right?
it's literally like it either protects you, like counters the counter, or a 2-for-1s. Like somebody tries to path your, like someone tries to use towards your commander or something, and then you swords their commander in response. It's like
but Force
or
stops
you
the
could
wrath.
wild.
It
Yeah,
stops
it
like
stops
the
the
artifacts,
commander.
enchantments, the
Sure.
stacks piece, your opponent's commander. Like
sure, but
there's
you
a
still need
huge
another
list of-
blue card to exile. And what if you don't have
You
any
need
good
your
blue cards in your hand
commander.
to
You need
exile?
X, Y, Z,
Wait,
right?
haven't we
But,
had a
like-
lot of like, oh, my Edric deck, I know mine. Throw 2 blue cards away.
We're
'cause I
gonna
got
put
all the
extra
cards.
4 blue
We're-
cards to
We
counter.
were comparing it to Obscuring Haze, which is not playable. So yeah, of course I'm going to go for Force of Will over there. But now we're going over one of the best cards in the format.
All right,
Force
we're gonna have to
will-
send it upstairs again to the booth. But Tomer, if I know how AI works, I think I know how this is gonna go between deflecting
Oh,
SWAT and Force
God.
of Will.
Oh, it's very versatile.
Between deflecting SWAT and Force of Will is generally considered to be the stronger and more universally impactful card.
In Commander! Oh my god!
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
There's so many
God.
more references to Force of Will on
Force
the
of
internet.
Will.
I think
Injustice.
We do the LeBron
AI
shut
is
down.
outta
Get
here.
that garbage.
Well,
Outta here.
well thought out.
Here. Deflecting SWAT not making it to the final bracket.
I mean,
Yeah,
I mean,
not that good.
Force of
Not
Will
that good.
has the iconicness, you know, like
It's also good, by
It-
the
it-
way.
it-
ChatGPT
Yes.
is
it's a legend. You know, we
ChatGPT
got to
doesn't
give them a
know
little leeway
up
because
from
you know they've been
down.
around so long. You know, give them a couple softballs.
Is this the
Oh,
LeBron?
boy.
Is this the LeBron of
Oh,
All right.
boy, move on.
Solitude versus Force of Negation.
Oh.
Seth, are you a Solitude believer?
So I voted Solitude in round 1 over Pact of Negation. This is tougher. Force of Negation is definitely way better than Pact of Negation, but I think Solitude might still win out. That's tough. I don't know. Maybe it's
Solitude
actually
in your EDH deck.
Okay.
I'd go-
I've never seen a
I'd go-
Solitude coming at me.
like Force
I
of
think
Negation's kind of a narrow free counter spell. I don't consider it to be one of the best free counters.
Is it?
But
narrow?
Solitude's
Don't you
also
just
not like
slap
an
this as one of
all-star.
your first free counter spells into your deck?
I mean, it's like behind
non-creature,
Force
but
of Will.
typically those are the
It's
things you're trying
behind-
to counter, right?
It's behind Force of Will. It's behind Fierce Guardianship for sure. So
it's
maybe
the
number
third
3.
free. It's usually number 3 for me.
No, but then I'd go Mana Drain, right? Like,
Right, but of
Oh,
the
out of
free
the
counter
foil.
spells-
Tomer's got
this,
foil
this,
on
this
that
doesn't
slot.
make it
Oh,
into
yeah,
your
foil.
counter spells list.
Foil.
Like we don't even play Force of Negation. in a normal deck?
Misdirection.
I actually often find myself, unless it's CDH, not playing Force of Negation, right? Because it is the third free counterspell, and I would rather just pay mana than have this free counterspell with like having Mana Drain or something like that. So, whereas Solitude,
Go ahead, sorry.
it is nice as a 3/2 body that exiles, and it could be free. Like, it could be free as well. And
Blinkable.
Blinkable, of
Blinkable.
course.
I think that's the upside.
It's
It's like
tutorable.
it's
I'll
got
go
the
with
body.
Recruiter of the guard.
Yeah, I'll go with
Yeah.
Solitude.
It
I think
tutors
if
up
I'm playing
easily.
casual, I'm more likely to run Solitude over Force of Negation. I don't remember the last time I ever ran Force of Negation in a casual deck.
That's kind of where I'm at. Like, I think that Solitude, I don't like targeted removal, but when it comes on a body and it has flash and it has lifelink, like all those things make it a good targeted removal spell. It can be a free swords if you need it to be. It can also be a fine like creature with Banner Monicons and swords.
It also
and so
doesn't
forth.
get countered by Force of Negation.
It flips Dousing Dagger, Richard. It flips
How does
Dousing
it flip-
Dagger.
How does it flip Dousing Dagger? You get paid
Well,
for 5
on like
mana?
turn 5, but still.
Wait, Krim, what's your Solitude or Force? It's
I have
2-0
played
for
Force.
Solitude right now. It's halftime.
I have played Force. I think I'm gonna go with solid Force of Negation.
There's no way Crim's a white weedy player. That's
Yeah.
right. Get the counter spell in Crim's
Yeah,
corner. Force
I
of
go with
negation.
Force of Negation. I go Force of Negation.
Oh. Are we going back to ChatGPT?
It's
I feel like Richard's
Force of
a
negation, hands
negationer.
down.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I want to include Force of negation in my decks. It does normally. What you're countering, especially not on your turn, are spells. Because like people are trying to sweep you, people are trying to like insta win. Like what it doesn't stop are creatures, but you have ways of not dying to creatures, right? Like you could have a propaganda, you could have a maze of it, you could have a fog or something, right? So usually the non-creature aspect is good enough. It doesn't help you win counter wars on your turns and things like that, but I think it's way more versatile than Solitude, at least. Like
It's definitely saved my life probably more times than a Solitude has in Commander.
yeah.
And I play both, so
Okay. Well, this is the Chat GPT round here. We are actually split on everything. Chat GPT is
Everything.
just dom. We don't even need to be on this podcast anymore. Okay, here we go. Chat GPT misheard me. It's okay. It figured
I
it out.
believe there might be a slight error in the card name you mentioned. I assume you're referring to a Force of Negation rather than a Force of Negation. If so,
literally Force
I
of
can provide a comparison between Solitude and Force of Negation.
Wait,
Thank you.
it didn't actually give me an answer. Hold on. I typed Force of Negation. It said I've corrected it to Force of Negation. Thank you, Chat GPT.
Well,
wait,
done.
AI
what was the
Between
answer?
evolving.
Solitude and Force of Negation, the choice largely depends on your deck's strategy and what role you
Yes.
need the card to fulfill.
yes.
Force of Negation is generally more versatile as it offers an instant speed way to counter non-creature spells while also having the potential to be cast for free. Solitude is more focused on offering a creature body and a life gain effect,
I
making
think I
it better
figured it
suited
out.
for decks that
ChatGPT
benefit
just
from
picks
these
the stuff
attributes.
that I'm against.
Yeah. It's
It's
anti-Tomer.
literally it's just overruling me every single. It's just there to spite me.
Tomer is our weapon against the AI. Okay?
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
need to
Save
predict
us, Tomer,
AI
save
movements
us.
in the future. We're gonna hook up to Tomer's brain to figure it out. He is.
Yep.
He's gonna be the Terminator.
All right, this is gonna be finally like at least some justice.
This is three tie breaks decided by ChatGPT in this round already. Can we break this?
rigged.
Commandeer
Yes.
versus Force of Despair.
Yeah, we're about to.
It's very
Force of Despair.
Force of easily
Despair.
Commandeer.
Wait a minute.
No!
God.
Force of
Of
Despair's
Despair.
Force
You
of
can
Despair's
literally
not very
cast
good.
Force of Despair.
Commandeer.
It only requires one
It
card.
steals the One Ring.
Wait, so Tomer's
counter
choosing Force of
spells.
Despair again?
Yeah.
It's not modern.
That's
If-
2-2.
look,
That's 2-2
every-
Commandeer. Force
I
of
would think
Despair.
Tomer, out of all people, would have a respect for Commandeer, but I guess I'm gonna have
No,
to bring it
get it
back.
out of
I'm gonna
here.
have to bring it
Trash
Just
it.
pick up
Yeah,
7
it's
mana
coming back.
Commandeer and be very happy with the results.
Yeah.
You're never going to have
No.
7 mana commandeers. What are you doing?
Force of Despair has so many, like, it's so much easier and on average will be more, like actually useful.
It's
I
just
mean, you will
not very-
cast it more
There's so
often.
many other
Will
options.
it help you win the game in any way? Like, of course, you can just snipe some random creature on the way down.
Living helps win the
Do
game.
you play
usually.
Remove Soul, Krim? Like, do we play these cards?
This is more than just remove soul. You're downplaying how efficient like Force of Despair is. This
It's
is like
so good.
okay, like and I
What-
mean,
what-
I
what-
guess
yeah, they like Rise of the Dark Realms, and you get them with Force of Despair, but you would get them even harder with Commandeer.
Yeah.
what if you just yeah sure.
No, because I can't get a creature. So, like,
No,
yeah, you could force a
Commandeer's
despair them, but you
non-creature
have
spell,
to.
so yeah,
but-
you can't steal creatures. So if someone like Crater Hoofs, it doesn't
Yes.
matter because it ETB'd anyway, and you're dying. So Force of Despair
What?
doesn't save you, but Commandeer you can't take it at all, right?
They can absolutely save you. Like somebody attacks things. Possibly they think it's for lethal against a bunch of
Yeah.
people, and then you're like, "Oh, Force of Despair."
But
You're-
remember,
you're-
Force of Despair only kills the thing that came
Things
into
that
play
enter.
this
Enter
turn.
the battlefield
Like it's a,
turn,
So it
yeah.
has to be like a
Y'all-
mass
y'all
haste
are,
or something.
Y'all
And
are
it's so
playing
much
it
more
like it's just
castable.
one creature at a time. I've seen so
everything.
many people play multiple creatures in a turn, like 3 creatures, like especially low to the ground decks moving up to like 4 creatures. I mean, come on, spawn a bunch of bodies like through tokens. Dude, Force of Despair is more than just a spot removal spell.
But why wouldn't you just play a Wrath then? Play Toxic Deluge or something if you're worried about a swarm of creatures.
Instant speed.
But that's
Instant
not.
speed.
Yeah, that's in speed.
Instant speed.
That's why you play
and
Fog.
free.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
then you gotta.
ain't no way. Oh wait. Ain't
not
no way
for
you
killing
two
you.
are gonna trash this card and tell me that
Just play
snag.
Just play
was the-
snag
Well,
instead.
the reason why Force of Despair is not good is like they build their board and then you draw Force of Despair, and then you're like, wow, this is unfortunate. Like, I cannot, clean up
What?
or do it, you know?
played their
Wait,
best
okay,
spell,
they
and
play
then
their
you
board,
draw
and then you draw Commandeer.
It's like a black removal spell with a counter spell restriction almost as far as the
It's
timing.
Remove Soul. It's
Yeah.
But
Mega
it
Remove
has-
Soul.
It is so
Mega
much
Remove
better
Soul,
than
you cast for
that.
free.
Oh.
All right, it
Commander
doesn't
gives
matter
you
what
the
we
thing,
think because
though.
we're in an AI world. We
right,
once
we're-
again are a
give
2-2
it-
split.
All right,
It's a 2-2. Wait, what did you choose,
Tell me
Tomer?
why Commandeer is so much
Yeah.
better.
So far, the AI has chosen
Garbage.
the exact
I'm a little
opposite.
worried. It's
You
the
can
opposite
use
of
it to
Tomer.
steal your opponent's one ring
Hey.
in Modern.
ChatGPT is slowing down. It's thinking hard. Hold on. ChatGPT, are you
It's
with
like, how
me?
do we rig this in a way that makes somewhat coherent sense?
Turns out
It's asking what
ChatGPT is
Tomer
not
voted
here. It's
for.
just me
Yeah.
this whole time.
yeah.
What did Tomer say? I need more
This is
info
a very
before I
long
can
answer. It's
decide.
given me like 2 paragraphs here. Okay.
Whoa.
We're going to jump straight to the conclusion.
Okay.
If you're looking for a card that provides a more versatile and potentially game-changing effect by countering or stealing an opponent's spell, Commandeer is the stronger choice. However,
Get
if
outta
you're facing
here.
an aggressive meta with many creatures being played, Force of Despair could provide crucial board control. The decision should be based on your deck's focus and the context of the games you're playing.
Well,
So
Tomer,
what's the answer?
the answer is Commandeer.
Oh my
We just had to give a little
God.
shout out to Force
the
of
answer is
Despair, too.
Commandeer.
Oh my god.
Tomer is over against the AI.
Tomer cannot beat ChatGPT.
Okay.
I want to know what
this-
AI thinks about
this
this.
is-
'cause
Okay,
the
okay.
next one-
Reverend Mantra
Finally.
versus Fierce Guardianship.
Okay.
Another
4-0.
sword.
Are we getting a-
Fierce
are we getting a
Guardianship.
upset
Yeah,
here?
yeah,
Right,
yeah,
right,
yeah.
right.
Fierce Guardian. We don't need
like-
to talk about.
Yeah,
I just want
yeah.
to know what ChatGPT thinks about this one.
Do you remember what Reverend Mantra is? Let me remind you. All creatures gain protection from the color of your choice until end of turn. Okay? Just for Tomer's sake. We'll ask
just for
ChatGPT.
Tomer's sanity,
okay?
yeah.
ChatGPT, this is against the rules, but we need your opinion here. We
I
need
want to
you.
know. I just want to know.
Okay. All right. ChatGPT, weigh in, please. ChatGPT thinking. This one's not even. Sometimes ChatGPT goes in a long monologue about like the reasons, and I have to skip over it. This time, it just jumps straight to conclusion.
Between Reverent Mantra and Fierce Guardianship is generally considered to be the stronger and more impactful card.
Okay.
Did you expect
see?
anything
Fine.
else?
Tomer and the AI can get
works.
along.
I don't know.
It's
Maybe they
possible.
didn't. Maybe it didn't code properly for Commander. Maybe it's like, oh, this card's unplayable.
This works. Okay,
Oh, okay.
Snag versus Flawless Maneuver.
Ooh.
And
Alright,
Snag,
so-
if you
so-
recall,
yeah.
is prevent all combat damage that be felt by unblocked creatures this turn.
I'm
Seth,
sorry,
anything
Snag,
you
you
would
can't
like
get any
to, you and
further.
Okay,
Richard would
so-
like to,
So
I'm
we
looking
got-
at you two.
A eulogy.
we gotta fog through to the second round. Honestly, I don't think I can argue for it over Flawless Maneuver, though. Like, Sunscour was a uniquely bad matchup, so Snag was able to sneak through. Flawless Maneuver is actually a good Magic card that I play in white creature decks. Snag, it's okay. I do like Fogs, but I don't think it's a
okay.
particularly good Fog.
It's
So
okay.
I'm gonna go with Flawless Maneuver, even though I still am a
Don't
big Fog
lie to
supporter.
our listeners like that.
4-0.
Okay, it's okay.
It is
No,
Richard,
okay.
do you have,
It
do you have
is
any
not
defensive
okay.
Snag?
It is okay.
Any spicy last
Look.
words for it?
Flawless Maneuver wins, but Snag totally deserved its spot in the postseason. It worked hard all season,
It
ground
did.
its way here, and it deserves to be here. And
pulled
should
up the
not
upset in
be
round
mocked or
one.
downplayed in any way.
Hey,
It's just not
they-
good enough to go to the Final Four, but it's definitely deserving of a round 8 spot.
Let's
Let's
get
well
has a
played,
lot of
Snag.
fun.
Maybe you'll get him next season.
Let's
Snag
give
should
Snag
have
a
been
round of
a first
applause.
round exit. So yeah,
Good
you're
job.
right.
Good job.
Darn.
right,
So,
Fog-
Tomer, I
Fog
assume Flawless
enthusiasts.
Maneuver.
Yes.
No hipster votes here. No pity votes.
No.
Flawless Maneuver 4-0. Another flawless victories. Flawless Maneuver hasn't
This is-
dropped
Ooh.
a single set.
This is a tough
whole
one.
tournament.
This one's not
I just
tough,
wanna
is
know
it?
more.
Deadly
interesting.
Rollick versus Snuff Out. Now,
Emotionally.
they both kind of do the same thing,
Emotionally.
except Snuff Out is actually free, costs 4 life. Can't remove black creatures, though. Deadly Rollick
Yeah.
exiles and needs your commander out.
Needs your commander
I
out.
mean, It's Deadly Rollick, right? Is there even, like, when you add that all together, doesn't have black creatures, costs life, Deadly Rollick needs your commander, it's cheaper to cast if you have to actually pay mana for it, Exiling is a huge upgrade. I'm going Deadly Rollick. I think the black creature thing is the biggest reason, plus Exiling, that I think it's better.
I do agree with, like, you know, the fact that, okay, yeah, like, obviously the black creature's the biggest drawback, but there are times where you won't have your commander. And, like, example, if I am playing, like, let's just say a 9-mana commander or something like that, I'm not exactly going to, like, rely on these free spells, right? Because I'm not going to have my commander. Where Snuff Out, I'll have a swamp. So,
and you might be playing Death Shadow in your deck, and then Snuff Out way better.
Yeah. I don't think it is as clear-cut, but it's not like a blowout loss for Snuff Out, but I do think, like, Deadly Rollick does win.
Yeah, I agree with Krim 100%. I think there are some decks that actually exist that Snuff Out's better in, but Deadly Rollick's is overall better. Deadly Rollick.
Yep. I agree with you guys. I think it's very close. I think it's probably the closest match we've had in this round.
Really?
Deadly Rollick beats it out. Like, people think having your commander is given, but it's not. Like, people can remove your commander. You can play around a Deadly Rollick. It's very hard to play around a Snuff Out. I mean, I guess you play a black creature, but, like, you don't really have that choice usually, right? Like, but I can remove your commander and then play my bomb if I suspect you have, like, these free spells, or your commander gets Wrath twice and, like, is not functional ever again. So Snuff Out has purposes, but I think Deadly Rollick edges it out. So that's a sweep as well, right? That's a 4-0 Deadly Rollick.
Sweep.
4-0 Deadly Rollick.
Snapback
this
versus
next
Submerge.
one's so easy.
What's going on in this bracket here? So Snapback, return target creature to its owner's hand. Submerge, they need to have a forest. You have an island. Put target creature on top of its owner's library.
I think
Submerge.
we've agreed that Submerge is actually a good card. So
Yeah, Submerge.
Snapback can
This should
target
be
your
easy.
own stuff, though. That is an
I mean-
upside. Submerge, you don't
for the
really want to
low
put your
cost
creature
of
on.
exiling
Yeah, I
a
was
blue
gonna-
card from your hand.
Yeah, okay, it's Submerge, but there is I can see reasons where I'd want to play Snapback over a Submerge.
I give it to Snapback. Like, there's not
Really?
always a forest on the battlefield.
That's. I guess
play
that's true.
Yavimaya.
Man, there almost always
But
is
then
in
you're
Commander,
playing,
though.
like, you're also in the color of blue, where you don't want to do things like Yavimaya because it turns off your counter spell. Like, you actually kind of need blue, right? Like, or if you're playing like Blue Sun Zenith, you need blue. Like, these are actual considerations.
I'm okay with Submerge being sometimes a bad card at a table because it's sometimes really, really good. Over Snapback, where I never want to run
But
it.
y'all are so high on like Deadly Rollick, but Snapback is just the blue version of it. Like, it's a free
No, it is
removal
not.
I mean,
to get
it
you
is
out
not.
of it.
it's all
wait.
temporary.
That's like saying Unsummon is just as good as Swords to Plowshare.
I think Unsummon is
too
severely
played, yeah.
underplayed.
They're the same card,
Oh
right?
my
Unsummon's
god!
a-
All right.
Vapor
Rizzo.
Snag.
Okay, it
Vapor
doesn't
Snag.
matter.
It's all
Submerge
about Vapor
one.
Snag.
It's Submerge one. It doesn't
Insane
matter.
picks.
It doesn't matter.
right.
Okay,
Top
Oh,
8.
top 8.
top 8. Summoner's Pact, Force of Will.
Come on,
All right.
Seth.
Summoner's
Seth.
Pact cannot get any
Summoner's
further.
Pack can tutor
It
up
cannot.
any creature in your deck.
Oh my
Oh my
It can tutor up
God.
uncounterable creatures that Force of Will won't be able to stop. But I think it's got to be Force of Will. Force of Will is just too good. Summoner's Pact, Force of Will is good in any blue deck. Summoner's Pact is only good in specific green decks. So I think it has to be Force.
I don't
Yeah.
think Force should have beaten SWAT, but there's no way that Force isn't beating Pact. I mean, this
SWAT's
is
home in the shower summer. It's done. That's over.
Yeah, you know, you
they
lost.
deserve
all right?
to be
SWAT-
in the
SWAT
round
lost.
3. All right.
SWAT lost.
It is
Tomer.
interesting that's one of the only, that and Obscuring Haze are the only two of that cycle that didn't make the top 8. I was surprised by
Yeah,
SWAT
because
team,
of
honestly.
because of rigged ref. But anyway, it's Force.
I
right?
actually go Pact, even though it doesn't matter because it's 3-1.
Ooh,
Like,
really?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Thank God.
Force of Will is so mediocre. Like, I don't play Pact because it's too strong. Like, we don't play Tutors because I don't want the consistency of the deck. Whereas Force of Will, I'd happily put in my deck because I'm like, whatever, it's a fair and balanced card.
Are you kidding me?
Summoner's
I
Pact
feel like I
gets
don't
you
play Force
your
because
best
the
green
entire-
creature. And, like, green creatures, if you're playing green, the green creatures are the best things in your deck, right? So it is very strong. And it's a 4-mana tutor that lets you cheat mana. Like, imagine a 4-mana tutor right? That lets you take mana from the next turn. Like, that's what it is, right? So it lets you do that combo kill, and lets you do the thing. Force of Will, replaceable by Force of Negation, by Fierce Guardianship. Summoner's Pact, like, Green Sun Zenith would be the closest, so that's still additional mana, right?
Green
Court of
Sun's
Calling is a lot more
Cord,
mana.
Finale of Devastation. I think
Right?
there's like
Those
a
are more
couple
mana,
other
right?
ones. There's like a
lets you
Fauna
get
Shaman
by.
you could run. There's Survival of the Fittest.
They're more immediate mana, but in the long term, Summoner's Pact's more mana, right? Because
Yeah.
you got to pay for
Yeah.
the next turn,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
short
yeah.
term, it's more, yeah.
All right, so Summoner's Pact finally falls. The Chat GPT favorite is no
Goodbye.
more.
It made it all the way to top 8. That was a good run for Summoner's Pact.
Force of Negation versus
Aw.
Commandeer.
I really
easy.
want to vote for
Alright.
Commandeer, but I
This is-
can't. As much as I love Commandeer, and I do think it's underrated, Force of Negation is just the right choice, right? Like, it's just
Yeah.
strictly better.
Comedy is
Yeah.
only in like a mono blue deck that draws more cards than it knows what to do with. And
I mean,
like,
the big-
sure
yeah.
that exists.
And Force of
Commandeer
Negation's
also
3 mana to cast. That's not that bad if you have to cast it.
What?
Commandeer
Oh,
got
yeah.
here on the easiest path with the easiest matchup. Sickening Shoal, right? And
It has to
Wait,
be
wait,
fair.
it got through Force of Despair. All
I
right,
love Force of Despair,
It
but
was
we-
not a
we knew-
favorable bracket, okay?
we knew these two over here haven't been
Yeah.
enlightened, and of course AI is just AI, whatever.
AI garbage. Let's
I
put it
could
in
have
negation.
seen. There were many matchups Commandeer would have lost in the first round, I think. So it did kind of just high roll with its matchups.
All right.
All right, Fierce Guardianship versus Flawless.
This one's
Oh,
an
this is-
interesting
this
one
is
because we're
easy.
getting to the big guns, you know.
This is easy.
But
These are
yeah, it's
actually
fierce.
two highly played cards in the format.
Yeah, it's got to be fierce because flawless. It help. It's very good when it's very good. Obviously, like if somebody casts a board wipe and you flawless and everybody else's creatures dies and yours survive, that's amazing. Or if you cast your own like blast and sack or board wipe and you flawless in response, that's amazing. But
Are these
fierce will save you from board wipes, but it will also save your opponent. You save you from your opponents winning the game. It also protects your commander, which is probably the thing your deck is built around. Like flawless will not save you from Farewell. It will not save you from a Source of Plowshares. It won't save you from sacrifice effects. Fierce saves you from all those things that would interrupt your game plan or, have your opponents win the game. Flawless will not save you if somebody's going to Thoracle you, but Fierce will. So there's a difference.
I think Tomer nailed it. Like, Flawless Maneuver, Fierce Guardianship stops pretty much everything that Flawless Maneuver would stop, and a whole bunch more stuff.
Yep.
Yeah,
Fierce.
Fierce wins. Flawless has been powered. So if Flawless phased out your creatures, I would give it to Flawless. But
yes.
it only
Clever
makes it
concealment,
indestructible,
baby.
and indestructible is the new Regenerate in 2023. Like, everything gets through it now. It's not as good as it used to be. So maybe 4 years ago or whatever, Flawless might actually edge it out. But now your stuff is getting removed even through the Flawless. And Fierce just straight up prevents that. Unless, I don't know, it's like a creature wrath or something. Like, it's like really weird edge cases, right? Like Fierce will usually get the job done.
Maybe we should put in Clever Concealment in this one. Technically free if you
That's
have
not free.
4 creatures and 2 white ones.
That's-
You can cast it for free.
All right, the underdog bracket here: Deadly Frolic and Submerge. Did we expect NA to make it to the quarterfinals here? We got Deadly Frolic and
No.
Submerge.
Which
down.
You know
one
what's
is NA?
wild?
Who is
Submerge
NA?
is somewhere in here.
You know
This is
what's
NA
wild?
and EU. The top bracket is the Koreans.
I'm
and Chinese.
actually going to go Submerge on this one. It
Submerge?
doesn't, like, the Deadly Rollick requires your commander out, and Submerge does not. And, yeah, Deadly Rollick is a little bit more hard castable than Submerge because it's 4 versus 5. But, like, when are you not having a forest on the battlefield? Somebody's going to have a forest on the battlefield. I don't know. I'm going with Submerge.
I'm with Tomer
Correct.
for another reason. Black has lots of removal, even lots of free removal. Blue doesn't have that much, really hardly any.
It has
Like,
so
it has
much
lots of
bounce. What are you
counters.
talking about?
But it doesn't have, no, that's not like, is permanent though. This makes him skip a draw. So I'm also going to go with Submerge. I think it's
What?
Submerge over Deadly
Yeah,
Relic.
rapid
There
hybridization.
are so many of
Pongify
these
at
like put
one.
on top of library cards. It's just they're just
Yeah.
so stone unplayable that you don't remember them. Seth.
But this
Like,
one's
think
free.
limited.
It's free.
Wait, weren't you totally in
No.
love with Snapback, Richard? Like,
Yeah.
Snapback
really
is
better
way
than
easier to
Snapback.
cast, but if it was I was like, Snapback is like budget Deadly Rollick, right? So if you like Deadly Rollick, you should like Snapback, but just a little less. So obviously, when it goes up against
little
Deadly
less?
Rollick, it loses.
A little less.
Submerge is like even more situational, right? Like you need that forest, and like
All
that's
right.
not always.
There's always
going
going to be a forest. Isn't there always
Krim
going to
loves
be a
his
forest?
removal. Maybe Krim. What do you think between
It's
these
Deadly
two removal
Rollick.
spells?
It's Deadly Rollick. I love Submerge as well. Like I think it's a sweet card, but like Deadly Rollick, answer the
True.
threat and permanently answer it.
I searched EDH rec just out of curiosity. Deadly Rollick 9% of decks, Submerge 1% of decks.
Yeah.
So this is some secret hidden tech.
well, we know
here.
what ChatGPT would say because it's probably just skimming what's the most
what did
popular.
Tomer
on
So
say?
EDH
we're at a
rec.
2-2
Tomer
tie,
vote.
right? Seth
I
and
think
Tomer
Submerge-
versus
We are.
Submerge.
I'm sticking with
Submerge.
Tomer. I'm sticking with Tomer.
Okay,
All right.
okay.
So we should be okay then.
So we
Yeah,
should
I
be
know.
okay, right? Crypt Deadly Rollick, like ChatGPT knows
Come
what's
on.
up, right?
Oh boy.
All
Think
right.
of the flexibility.
Oh, this was an instant ChatGPT. You need to have to think about this
Oh,
one.
that's a bad sign. That's a bad
Between
sign.
Submerge and Deadly Rollick is generally considered to be the stronger and more versatile card.
Get out of here.
That's right. That's got to be. What we need is
I'm
more
not
underrated
surprised.
podcasts
I'm
to
just
influence
disappointed.
ChatGPT in the future.
Not surprised. Just disappointed.
All right, final four. We got 3 blue counterspells. What a shocker! And the
Right.
underdog, Deadly Rollick.
But
But this top match: Force of Will versus Force of Negation.
This top match is so
I mean,
good.
this is literally a Force of Will or worse Force of Will, right? Like they both.
No, one of them is 3 mana to cast if you
That's
have
the
to cast
yeah,
one
yeah,
it.
upside.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
if you get
It
a hard
also
cast
doesn't
it,
cost
Force
a
of
life,
Negation is
which could be
better.
relevant.
You can also cast it for free
Yeah.
on your turn versus the other one. I don't care about the one life.
The one life is
Negation
not
is
usually
a
relevant.
callback. It is a callback to Force of Will, right? Like,
Well, it's also Pact of Negation, I guess.
I
Sure,
think there
yeah, there's
is
that
like
too.
there is an argument that like 3 mana for negate is a lot better than 5 mana for
Also
for a
exiles.
hard counter.
Yeah.
It does also exile. Although
Yeah.
this is the free the free spell bracket, and if we're judging these mostly based on being free spells, like Force of Will is just way better as a free spell. Not even like
Yeah.
any comparison. So I gotta go with Force. Although I do think it's not like completely absurd to make an argument for Force of Negation here, but it's got to be Force of Will.
Same.
I just realized I said I'm going with Force, and that's like the worst answer to
I
this.
go with
Yeah.
Force as well. I go with
I
the free
choose
blue
Force.
Force spell.
Free counter.
That's a sweep for Force of Will, right? I choose Force
Yeah.
of Will as well. This is what all the counterspells attempt to copy, but in a balanced way in 2023.
Yeah.
Fierce
All right.
Guardianship versus Deadly Rollick. How much do you like your spot removal versus
Not
I
very.
love both of these
Counterspell.
cards. I love both these cards so much.
your Dimir, Krim,
But
your fairies?
Yeah.
You can only play one
yeah,
of these.
you can only
Which
play
card?
one of them in your deck, Krim.
I mean,
Yeah,
yeah,
which one?
it's
Which
Fierce
one?
Guardianship, right? Like,
Yeah.
but I
It's just
love
so much
Deadly
more
Rollick.
versatile.
Yeah,
It is.
yeah.
It is. Like, it's fierce. Like, Deadly Rollick's
Yeah.
very good for target removal, but I would much rather answer any non-creature spell than answer a creature.
Yeah, so Fierce can't hit creatures. Deadly Rollick can clean up creatures. Like if you're a turn late and they play something scary, like you can clean it up. But Fierce is still better, I think, right? Like you're generally more
Yeah.
scared of non-creatures in EDH than you are of creatures. So
I usually feel pretty like if going off, like casting both these like all the time, I always feel safer when I see Fierce. Like if I have both in hand, Deadly Rollick I don't feel as safe, but I definitely feel safe with Fierce.
Creatures, yeah, you want to deal with the wrath, like Sunscour, let's say.
Yeah.
Fierce also
Yeah.
pitches to Force.
Or somebody snags your lethal attack, and you're like, oh,
yeah,
well,
sure.
Yes.
I gotta
Obscuring
respond to
haze.
All right, and now we are at the championship match. Who would have
Dun,
guessed?
dun, dun, dun.
Force of Will versus Fierce Guardianship. I'm actually curious now. What do we value here? Free spell in Fierce Guardianship if you have your commander out, but can only hit non-creatures. Force of Will costs you a blue card, 1 life. It's also 5 mana, which may be relevant, like if you're trying to tutor it up or transmuted or something. Like there are like fringe cases where that CMC actually matters.
Let me do my stretches here.
It's I think this one's like a windmill slime Fierce Guardian.
is it
Like I wouldn't even.
Yeah,
I wouldn't even
That's-
think
I
that
am
We'll get to the
windmill
windmill slams.
slamming.
windmill slam.
I
Reasons. Fierce doesn't put you down a card. Major.
Okay.
Other thing is it's much more splashable. You don't have to be in heavy blue. That's basically it. Oh yeah, it doesn't counter creatures, but if 9 times out of 10 I want my counter spells to deal with non-creature spells, instant and sorceries. And that's what Fierce does.
On top of that, to add on, I do think that because in Commander we're talking about casual, Force of Will is great if I'm trying to push through some kind of like combo, right? Like a tainted whatever pack combo, yada yada yada, right? Like a Thoracle combo, sure. Fierce Guardianship, I think is better because in a casual game I feel like I'm trying to be more defensive with my counterspells anyways, and this just feels nice. Like it feels like in casual I'm not trying to force some kind of combo win. Force of Will feels really good in some kind of combo deck.
So let me make the case for Force of Will then. So Force of Will, Tomer had some good points about Fierce Guardianship. Force of Will, though, you don't need your commander on the battlefield, which isn't a given. So, like, this on turn 1, turn 2, maybe you're playing a deck that has an expensive commander, maybe you're playing an arch enemy commander that's going to die a lot. Force of Will is always going to be able to be a free spell, regardless of what's on the battlefield. You do need to have a card in hand to pitch, but that's often easier than having your commander on the battlefield. The other big thing is it does stop anything, and I think you're right that often you're going to want to be able to stop a non-creature spell, but there are times when a creature is the thing that you want to stop. In Fierce Guardianship's not going to be able to do that. So I think it's really close. I think there are merits to Force of Will. Oh boy.
Yeah, it's not a windmill slam like
Is that a
Tomer.
cross?
It's not,
I'm
I'm not
still
windmill
windmilling.
slamming
I'm
anything.
going windmilling.
Yeah.
I'm
Or
still
you giving
windmilling.
Force of Will the W, says.
I'm still windmilling there.
So I've had this question before, and normally I rank Fierce Guardianship number 1 and Force of Will 2. So for the sake of consistency, I'm going to have to give it to Fierce Guardianship. But I see these like 1A, 1B, the best counters in the format, the best free spells in the format. So it's really, really incredibly splitting hairs close for me, but I think it is Fierce Guardianship.
They're both
I'm
very
also
good.
on Fierce Guardianship.
It's Windmill Slam Fierce. Like, if you had a Magic collection and you can get one free spell, assuming they're the same price, Force of Will or Fierce Guardianship, you take Fierce Guardianship because it goes into every single deck. Your 5-color deck will play your commander, so you will always be able to cast this. And the fail case, like, people like ignore this, right? But the fail case is you have to hard cast it, and 3 mana for a negate is kind of reasonable. Like, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
5 mana Force of Will is kind of sad, right? Like, I don't know if you're gonna have 5 mana.
Yeah.
I don't
so-
even know what it's like to have 5 mana. So
Yeah, like, I think Fierce is just so much better, and it's just versatile. Like, 5-color decks, you could be like mono white splash blue, and Fierce Guardianship goes in your deck, but you cannot play Force of Will. So yeah,
It's true.
I think it
actually,
goes-
I'm curious. Ask ChatGPT just for the fun of it.
Okay.
Just
So
ask it for the fun of it.
this was
We've
a 4-0
already
for
decided
Fierce
the
Guardianship.
winner.
The winner is Fierce
Yes,
Guardianship.
the winner is Fierce Guardianship.
ChatGPT. ChatGPT's like,
I think it
fog.
just picks like the most popular one, right?
Yeah,
On EDH,
snag.
right? The winner is
The
Snag.
winner is Snag.
I want to hear the winner, our winner versus Snag.
Between Force of Will and Fierce Guardianship, the choice largely depends on the format you're playing and the context of your deck. However, if I were to provide a general recommendation based on overall impact and versatility, Force of Will is often considered the stronger and more iconic card.
Ooh, more
It's
iconic.
paying
That is
respect to
true.
the
You know
legend.
what?
It used iconic as one of its
It
criteria.
did add in
It's
iconic.
showing respect to the cards that came before.
But do we have to prompt it to say for commander? Because it is saying like it depends on the format. So maybe it's actually judging
Let me
things as a general.
add 4 commander to see if it changes anything.
Yes.
So normally ChatGPT like skirts the question. It always gives you the 2 cards in the cases where they're good in, and you have to prompt it very specifically to choose a card. But let me see if commander. Ooh.
Fierce versus Snag.
Ooh, Tomer. Oh, wait, ChatGPT is broken. I broke its brain, but let me read it for you. So
Poor
for
Commander does
Commander,
not
Fierce
compute.
Guardianship is generally the recommended choice between the two cards because it says that Fierce Guardianship was specifically designed with Commander in mind and takes advantage of the format's unique characteristics.
Wait, does that mean deflecting SWAT versus force
It
of will?
feels
You-
dirty that a card
we get
designed for
robbed?
Commander won our poll.
No. We don't.
Yeah,
we don't
everything
get to
feels dirty
challenge
about
the referee.
ChatGPT.
Yeah,
the
that's
referee's decision.
The early calls already happened.
It's final.
Yeah,
We're
early
too late. We
calls.
can't
I know,
unwind
I
the
know.
entire tournament. It
I was
changes
just saying
actually
the ref
nothing
is
because
blind.
Fierce Guardianship swept Force of Will. ChatGPT
Yeah.
was just seeing if we could replace our podcast with ChatGPT altogether.
And it's failed. It has failed in its task.
It has failed. So Fierce Guardianship, best free spell.
Best
Hands
free
down.
spell. Man, so
Do we
many
all feel
blue
good about
cards.
that? Like,
I
if
don't-
we had
yeah.
to say out of all of these, what's the best free spell? Do we think that it didn't get like there wasn't like a card that got robbed or anything?
I mean, so
don't thi-
there's. Oh, go ahead.
I mean, like, yeah. I guess at the end of the day, I don't think anything less than Fierce Guardianship, I think, is just not correct, right? So Fierce Guardianship should have won this. I don't think anything, I guess, got robbed except for maybe like Force of Despair.
Deflecting SWAT.
Force of Despair. I mean, I think some of the early round matchups are like very matchup dependent, where we had some weird cards like sneak in through a win or two. But the top four, or even like most of the top eight, is pretty much what I would have like expected. The top four for sure is like very much, I think, four of the best free spells. The top two, definitely the top two. So I think it actually ended up in a pretty good place, I would say. And Fierce Guardianship definitely would be number one.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is the correct ranking. I will say that, like ChatGPT alluded to, it depends on the context of your deck, right? And a lot of these decks will want something very specific over a general catch-all counterspell. But we're just talking about if you had to buy like 5 free spells for your entire collection, like this would probably be it. I do think Summoner's Pact got robbed. I think it's a lot higher. I can see it being in the final four. I could see it being in the
Really?
final four.
I
I
think
would have liked
Summoner's
to
Pact
see
was on a fluke.
a postseason with Summoner's Pact versus Deadly Rollick. I think it had some game on Deadly Rollick there. So I'm surprised Deadly Rollick made it this far. But
I'm not.
The blue counters is not a surprise. I think everyone thinks of those immediately when they think of free spells, and they're very strong, and they will be strong for the foreseeable future. The league needs to nerf them.
I think deflecting SWAT is much like my team, the Toronto Maple Leafs, where you expect it. They keep saying, "Oh, now's the year. Now's the year, boys. We're gonna go all the way, Cup baby," and then they get eliminated in the first round of the playoffs. This one, at least, it got to the second, so like that already exceeded expectations to the Leafs. But at least SWAT got to round 2, I guess.
I'm
That's the
happy
only
to
one that I
see-
thought was like it should be in round 3, but.
That is one of the
I
bigger
guess.
upsets, I think. Although it got a little unlucky to run into Force of Will, I think. Like that's it hit like one of the finalists in the second round. So I think it just kind of like had tough seeding for it to go far.
I will say that Deadly Rollick overperforming is pretty darn funny. That it's like, to me, I love seeing it get that far in. Just like it's like a Sacramento Kings thing. I'm just happy that we got here. Just happy we got here.
But yeah, so it depends on power level. Obviously, like CDH might have changed some stuff a little bit, and then the context of your deck, because obviously some decks are actually to be running some of the eliminated cards over the cards that last a lot longer, because your strategy might synergize a little bit better with some of these other cards. So it's not like these cards are objectively worse or anything. It's just that on average, these are the cards
Snag.
in a vacuum.
Except Snag.
You may
It
also
is a
not
vacuum.
be playing
Snag-
blue.
Snag is
Not-
objectively bad. Like, y'all need to stop again lying to our listeners.
Sounds like somebody's getting
Snag
blown
is
up by
bad.
Snag.
You can't put those two things together, Snag and a bug.
Are we
Like,
putting
it doesn't
Snag in
happen.
all our green decks now?
Dude, it is literally a blowout to the person casting it. Like,
Is this an underrated gem?
It's just not as good as Obscuring Haze. So I think you should be playing one of those two cards, but Obscuring Haze is probably the right one. Also worth mentioning that like free spells are just inherently powerful. So even the cards that went out super early in this list,
Except
a
Snag.
lot of them are like very good cards, because this is just a list of like very strong effects, because being able to do things for free is just very strong in Magic, because it gets around like mana cost. It kind of lets you cheat on mana. So even the cards that went out early, some of them are pretty good.
I would say some of them, but not a lot of them, because Shoals, no.
Especially Snag.
no. Especially Snag. Obscuring Haze, no. Like, yeah. Abolish?
All right.
No.
Next Commander Clash, no lands. We just Armageddon every turn. We all have to play free spells.
The gang
free
only
spells.
plays
Progress.
free spells.
Free spells only.
Okay, so
spells
that
only.
wraps up our bracket. Let us know what you think of the format. Would you have put Fierce Guardianship on top? Did Deadly Rollick deserve a top 4 spot? And was
Sure did.
ChatGPT right about Summoner's Pact and Snag? Is ChatGPT a green mage confirmed? Let us know in the comments, and we'll see you everyone here back next week. See you, everyone.